All right. Welcome, everybody, to our table read, our first table read of the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, whatever title.
Nope, Philosopher.
Philosophers. So I am your host, Curtis. I'll be playing the roles of Professor Snape, Argus Filch, and Neville Longbottom. As Harry Potter, we have Travis playing Harry. As Hermione, we have Jade. As Ron Weasley, we got Calvin. As Uncle Vernon and Nearly Headless Nick, we have Eric. We got as Draco Malfoy, we got Logan. And as Voldemort, we got Andy. We got Andy Mort here. As Aunt Petunia and Molly Weasley, we got Molly. As Madame Hooch, we got Karina. As Professor McGonagall and Professor Quirrell, we got Anne. As Hagrid, we got Hunter. As the Weasley twins and Dudley, we got Jessica. And as Seamus Finnegan, we got Chris. And as our scene description, we got Kate. All right. So Kate, whenever you're ready, start us off.
All right, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, screenplay by Steve Kloves, based on the novel by J.K. Rowling. Whole bunch of revisions. Exterior, Privet Drive, night. Dark at this hour, except for the street lamps that dot the street, spilling deep pools of light upon the ground. On the far corner, a man materializes out of the darkness. He is tall and thin, with a silver beard long enough to tuck into his belt. He wears a purple cloak and is roughly 150 years old. He is Albus Dumbledore. Dumbledore removes a small silver object from his cloak, the put-outer. He extends his hand and click, the nearest street lamp goes out with a soft pop. He continues to click the put-outer until all the lamps go dark. He turns, spies a cat sitting on the wall of number 4. He smiles knowingly.
I should have known you'd be Professor McGonagall.
The cat leaps forward, transfigures itself into a rather severe-looking woman in an emerald cloak.
All the rumors true, Albus.
I'm afraid so. The good and the bad.
And the boy?
Hagrid's bringing him.
You think it wise to trust Hagrid with something as important as this?
I would trust Hagrid with my life, Professor.
A low rumble disturbs the skies. Dumbledore and McGonagall look up, and suddenly a huge motorcycle plummets through the clouds, hits the ground with a thunderous roar. As the smoke clears, a figure climbs off. He is Hagrid, and is quite obviously a giant. In his vast, muscular arms, he holds a bundle of blankets.
Evening, Professor Dumbledore, sir. Professor McGonagall.
No problem, I take it, Hagrid?
No, sir. The hike fell asleep as we were flying over Bristol.
Hagrid steps forward and Dumbledore takes the bundle, turns toward the doorstep.
Albus, do you really think it best to leave him here with these people? I've been watching them all day. They're the worst sort of muggles imaginable. They're...
The only family he has.
This boy will be famous. It won't be a child in our world that doesn't know his name.
Exactly. It would be enough to turn any boy's head. Famous before he can walk and talk. Famous for something he won't even remember. No. He'll be much better off growing up away from all that until he's ready.
Dumbledore lays the bundle on the mat. Hagrid snivels.
There, Hagrid. It's not really goodbye after all.
Hagrid nods. Dumbledore tucks the parchment envelope into the blankets and steps back, his face suddenly dark, serious.
Good luck, Harry.
The camera dollies forward toward the swaddled baby. A cut, still fresh, gleams on the baby's forehead. It is in the shape of a bolt of lightning. Smash cut to 10 years later. Interior cupboard number 4, Privet Drive, morning. A pair of blinking green eyes jerk into the light.
Up. Now.
Thump, thump, thump.
I said no.
Footsteps recede and Harry Potter, now 10 years old, swings his skinny legs to the floor. He's small, which is lucky since his room is not really a room at all, but merely a cupboard under the stairs. Abruptly, the cupboards begin to shake, dust spilling from the joists above Harry's head. Calmly, Harry takes a pair of eyeglasses, taped at the bridge with sellotape from a nail. Exterior hallway. Harry comes blinking out in the cupboard door, watches his enormous cousin Dudley thunder down the last step. Just then, Harry's Aunt Petunia appears in the kitchen ahead.
There's the birthday boy. Don't you look smart for your trip to the zoo. You mind the bacon and don't dare let it burn. I want everything perfect on my dumpling special day.
Yes, Aunt Petunia.
Interior kitchen. Harry enters, finds his Uncle Vernon reading the Daily Mail behind a monstrous pile of presents.
Hurry up. Bring my coffee, boy.
Yes, Uncle Vernon.
Dudley enters, stares at the presents.
How many are there?
36. Counted them myself.
36 for last year I had 37.
But now, son, some of them are quite a little bit bigger than last year.
I don't care how big they are.
Now, here's what we'll do. Today, when we're out, we'll buy you 2 new presents. How's that, pumpkin?
So then I'll have
38 pumpkins.
And Petunia cuffs Harry on the head on her way to the ringing telephone.
You just mind that bacon.
Yes, Aunt Petunia.
As Dudley tears open a box of lead soldiers, Uncle Vernon ruffles his hair.
I want your money's worth, don't you, Tiger? Well, look there. Aunt Marge has sent you the 4th Battalion.
Dudley twists the head off one.
This one's lost his head.
Well, now, son, remember, we talked about this. They're not meant to move.
As Dudley tosses the damaged soldier aside, Harry studies it closely. Then Aunt Petunia hangs up the phone and turns.
Bad news. Mrs. Fix has broken her leg. Now she can't take him.
Could phone Yvonne.
Don't be silly. She hates the boy.
Could just leave him here.
And come back to find the house in ruins.
I don't want him to come. He always spoils everything.
Now, precious, don't cry. We won't spoil anything. What if Mummy buys you 3 more presents?
3?
As many as you want, sweetums.
As Aunt Petunia cuddles him, Dudley shoots Harry a nasty grin through the gap in his mother's arms. Exterior number 4 Privet Drive, a bit later. As Harry gets in the car, Uncle Vernon leans close.
I'm warning you now, boy. Any funny business, any at all, and you won't have any meals for a week. Now get it.
Interior Zoo. Happy children walk hand in hand with their parents. As Interior Reptile House, later. Dudley presses his pudgy nose to a gleaming plate of glass.
Make it move.
Uncle Vernon looks over at a zoo map and the huge python curled behind the glass, wraps his knuckles, nothing.
He's asleep.
He's boring.
Dudley waddles away as the others follow, all but Harry, who steps forward and rubs Dudley's nose print from the glass.
Sorry about him. He doesn't understand what it's like, lying there day after day, watching people press their ugly faces in on you.
The snake nods. Harry stops, looks off, then back, whispers.
Can you hear me?
The snake cocks its head and winks.
I've never talked to a snake before. Do you talk to people often?
The snake regards Harry, then slowly shakes its head no. Harry nods, looking a bit unnerved.
So you're from Burma, aren't you? Was it nice there? Do you miss your family? I see that's me as well. I never knew my parents either.
Hey, Dad, come here. You won't believe what the snake is doing.
Dudley jabs Harry hard in the ribs, sending him tumbling to the concrete floor. Angry, Harry looks up as Dudley leans against the glass and it vanishes. Dudley flops forward and the snake slithers out and people run screaming. Stunned, Harry watches the python slip into the sunshine, then glances back at to the snake tank. The glass has reappeared with Dudley sits within, face pale, eyes frozen in terror. Interior, number 4 Privet Drive, later. Uncle Vernon, face purple with rage, drags Harry by the ear.
I swear I don't know what happened. 1 minute the glass was there and the next it was gone. It was like magic.
Uncle Vernon hurls Harry into the cupboard, stares hard.
There's no such thing as magic.
The door slams. Harry sits quietly. Then, from his pocket, he removes the damaged soldier Dudley had discarded earlier. Reaching up, he places it on the dark shelf next to half a dozen others. Exterior number 4 Privet Drive, morning. A single owl swoops down on the Dursleys' roof. Interior kitchen. Dudley parades about the kitchen in his knickerbockers, tailcoat and straw boater, tapping the floor with a knobbly stick, while a teary Aunt Petunia snaps a photo with a flash camera.
Oh, Vernon, look at him. To think only a week ago, and he'll be off to smelting.
Proudest moment of my life.
Will I have to wear that too?
You go to smelting, don't be stupid. You go to the state school where you belong. There'll be yours once I'm done dyeing it.
Harry glances at a tub of gray mud boiling on the stove.
But that's Dudley's old uniform. It'll fit me like bits of old elephant skin.
Fit you fine enough. Now fetch the post.
Interior front hall. 3 letters lie on the mat. A bill, a postcard, and an envelope of yellow parchment. Harry takes all, then stops, staring at the envelope, which is addressed in emerald ink. Mr. H. Potter, The Cupboard Under the Stairs, 4 Privet Drive, Little Wing, Surrey. Harry turns the envelope over, finds a purple wax seal. It is a coat of arms surrounding a large letter H. Interior kitchen. Harry drops the post on the table and sits, staring in quiet wonderment at his envelope. Uncle Vernon takes the postcard.
Oh, Marge is ill. Ate a funny whelk.
Bam! Dudley brings the smelting stick hard down on the table.
Dad, look, Harry's got a letter.
Quickly, Uncle Vernon snatches it away.
That's mine.
Yours? Who'd be writing to you?
Uncle Vernon's face goes pale. Interior hallway. The boys come flying into the hall, throwing themselves against the door as it slams shut.
I want my letter.
I want my stick.
Harry and Dudley make a furious play for the keyhole, but Dudley's size proves too much for Harry. Glasses dangling from one ear settles for the crack between the door and the floor. Harry's point of view of Uncle Vernon's thick black shoes pacing back and forth.
Vernon, look at the address. How could they possibly know where he sleeps? You don't think they're watching the house?
Spying, following us. We both know the dangerous nonsense your sister and her husband were mixed up in.
But what should we do, Vernon? Should we write back, tell them we don't want...
No, we'll ignore it. If they don't, they're going to answer, yes, that's best. I'll burn it.
No, I want my letter.
Interior kitchen. Uncle Vernon walks to the stove, flips on the gas jet. As the letter burns, Harry pounds on the door and a montage begins. Exterior roof, number 4, Privet Drive, morning. An owl beats its way across the sky, flutters down upon the antenna where 2 other owls already sit. In the living room, Uncle Vernon frowns, stands before the telly, struggling to unscramble a rugby match. The click of the mail slot is heard and he turns. In the front hall, 3 more letters lie on the mat. Uncle Vernon enters, snatches them up, rips them to pieces. In the cupboard, Harry sits sadly upon his bed when bang, bang, bang. In the front hallway, Harry eases open the cupboard door. Down the hallway, Uncle Vernon stands swinging a hammer, mouth bulging with nails as he pounds shut the mail slot. Exterior number 4, Privet Drive. Uncle Vernon exits the house with his briefcase, stops. 4 owls sit atop his bohol. He watches curiously as they take flight, then look down. 4 letters lie at his feet. In the living room that night, the fireplace blazes. Uncle Vernon pitches a handful of letters into the flames, turns. Harry stands watching. Exterior roof, number 4, Pivot Drive, same time. As the chimney smokes, 5 owls sit in the black silhouette against the moon. In the kitchen window, the next morning, Aunt Petunia cracks an egg. Inside is a letter. She cracks another letter. We pan off the window to Dudley's neglected bicycle. Perched atop the handlebars, seat and tires are 6 owls. Montage ends. In the living room, Sunday morning, Dudley lies on the floor, destroying another birthday toy as Aunt Petunia carefully sets a cup of coffee by Uncle Vernon, who sits in an armchair, smiling strangely.
Fine day, Sunday. Best day of the week, in my opinion. And why is that, Dudley?
Because there's no post on Sundays?
Uncle Vernon looks up brightly, but Harry's eyes are on the window behind him. Outside, the sky is dark with owls.
Right you are, Harry. No damn letters today. No, sir. Not one bloody letter. Not one blasted...
Just then, something whizzes down the chimney and smacks Uncle Vernon flat on the back of the head. Seconds later, another follows, and then another, until the living room is aflock with letters. Harry leaps onto the table, trying to snag one, when Uncle Vernon seizes him by the waist. In the hallway, Uncle Vernon stumbles out. Harry shakes free of his grasp and stares dumbly. Letters swirl up and down the hall.
Who on earth wants to talk to you this badly?
A letter flutters on Harry's fingertips before Uncle Vernon sweeps it away, eyes crazed, shouting crazily.
That does it! We're going away! Far away! Where they can't find us! Where they can't get to us!
Dudley glances at his mother.
Daddy's gone mad, hasn't he?
Exterior hut on the rock, night. A very sad-looking hut sits perched on the large rock far at sea. Wind whistles, the sea rages. Interior, Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia sleep on the lumpy bed in the hut's only bedroom. Dudley snores on a moth-eaten sofa. Harry lies on the bare floor beneath a ragged blanket. Lightning flashes. As the boom goes dark again, Harry studies the lighted dial of Dudley's watch. As it ticks toward midnight, Harry puts the last touches of a birthday cake he's etched in the dust that layers on the floor.
Make a wish, Harry.
Closing his eyes, he blows, and the flames of dust scatter. Eyes still closed, Harry holds the wish, then, boom! The door shutters. Hinges squeal. A pin squirrels out of its housing, falls to the floor. Boom! Uncle Vernon comes sledding into the room on his socks, in his socks, a rifle in hand, paper hanging by a string from the barrel.
Who's there? I warn you, I'm armed.
Smash! The door falls flat. An immense silhouette stands against the raging sea outside, identical to the beastly figure seen climbing the stairs in Godric's Hollow. He is Hagrid and is rather obviously a giant. Presently, he is standing on the front door.
Right, sorry about that.
Hagrid steps clear, takes the door, and fits it back into the frame, glances at Dudley, frowns.
Mind, I haven't seen you since you were a baby, Harry, but you're a bit more long than I would have expected, especially around the middle.
I'm not Harry.
I am.
Hagrid turns, watches Harry's face come into the light.
Well, now, of course you are.
Demand you leave at once, sir! You are breaking and entering!
I'll dry up, Dursley, you great prune.
Hagrid takes the rifle, knots it like a piece of licorice.
Anyway, Harry, got something for you. Afraid I might have sat on it at some point, but imagine it'll taste all right, just the same. Let's see now. Got it here somewhere.
Hagrid rummages in his coat, removes a kettle, frying pan, sausages, and a pink umbrella, when finally a squashed paper box containing a chocolate cake with Happy Birthday Harry scrawled in green icing.
Baked it myself, words and all.
Thank you.
Well, it's not every day a young man turns 11.
Hagrid turns into the fireplace, gives an ember a poke with the pink umbrella. As they roar to life, he takes the frying pan, lobs in the sausages. Dudley perks up as they sizzle.
Excuse me, but who are you?
Harry stares blankly. Hagrid frowns.
Blimey, Harry. Did you never wonder where your parents learned it all?
Learned what?
What? Dursley, do you mean to tell me the boy knows nothing?
Uncle Vernon stands mute. Hagrid simmers, then shakes his head and turns back to the fire.
You're a wizard, Harry.
For a moment, the hut is utterly silent.
I'm a what?
A wizard. And a thumping good one on a wager. Once you've been trained up a bit.
No, you made a mistake. I can't be a wizard. I mean, I'm just Harry. Just Harry.
That right? Tell me, Harry, you ever make something strange happen? When you were scared, maybe, or angry?
As Harry looks up in recognition, Hagrid slaps a soggy envelope into Harry's hands. Harry opens it and reads.
Dear Mr. Potter, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
As Harry looks up, Hagrid winks and takes a bite of sausage.
He'll not be going, I tell you. We swore when we took him in we'd put a stop to all this rubbish.
You knew, and you knew I'm a wizard.
Aunt Petunia, looking furious, emerges from the shadows.
Of course we knew. How could we not? My dratted sister being what she was, mother and father were so proud when her letter came. A witch in the family, isn't it wonderful? I was the only one to see her for what she was, a freak. Then she met that Potter and had you, and I knew you'd be just the same, just as strange, just as abnormal. And then, if you please, she went and got herself blown up, and we got landed with you.
Blown up? You told me my parents died in a car crash.
Car crash? A car crash killed Lily and James Potter? It's an outrage, a scandal.
We'll not be going, I tell you.
And I suppose a great muggle like yourself's going to stop him.
Muggle?
Non-magic folk. This boy's name's been down ever since he was born. He's off to the finest school of witchcraft and wizardry in the world. He'll be under the greatest headmaster Hogwarts has ever known, Albus Dumbledore.
I will not pay some crackpot old fool to teach him some magic tricks.
Hagrid spins, eyes bulging.
Never insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me.
Hagrid spins, points the umbrella at Uncle Vernon, then spies Dudley, one hand deep in Harry's birthday cake. Pop, a flash of violet light hits Dudley square in the rump. Instantly, a pig's tail curls through the back of his trousers. Uncle Vernon roars, hurries everyone out of the room.
That's curious. Meant to turn him into a complete pig, whole hog and all. Suppose he was so much like a pig already there wasn't much left to do.
Hagrid sees Harry staring in awe at the pink umbrella.
Be grateful if you didn't mention that to anyone in Hogwarts. Strictly speaking, we're not allowed to do magic. Bit behind schedule, aren't we? Best be off.
Hagrid exits, leaving Harry to consider his sorry surroundings. He looks momentarily at a loss, then Hagrid pokes his head back in.
Unless, of course, you'd rather stay.
Exterior Street, London, dawn. Harry reads aloud from his list as he trails Hagrid, who draws an eye or two as a giant in central London will.
First-year students will require 3 sets of plain work robes, 1 plain pointed hat for day wear, 1 pair of dragon hide gloves.
Hagrid chuckles at a parking meter.
Things these muggles dream of.
Interior train. Harry sits beside Hagrid, continues to read from his list.
And the following set books: The Standard Book of Spells by Miranda Coslock, 1000 Magical Herbs and Fungi by Philadelphia Spore.
Exterior Street, Leaky Cauldron, London. Hagrid leads Harry on, parting the crowd easily.
1 wand, 1 stranded 2 pewter cauldron, and may bring, if the desire, either an owl, a cat, or a toad. Can we find all this in London?
Hagrid pauses by a narrow gray door that stands between a bookshop on one side and a record shop on the other.
If you know where to look.
Interior Leaky Cauldron, a dark, shabby pub. In a corner, some old women sit drinking, one smoking a pipe as long as her arm. Up front, a tiny man in a top hat talks to the bartender, who resembles a gummy walnut. Harry and Hagrid enter.
Hagrid, the usual, I presume? Good Lord. Can this be him? Bless my soul. It's Harry Potter.
The pub goes quiet. Then, everyone is up and around Harry, holding out their hands and gabbling, while Hagrid looks on, beaming. Slowly, a nervous young man makes his way forward.
Harry Potter, can't tell you how pleased I am to meet you.
Professor, didn't see you there. Harry, this here's Professor Quirrell. He'll be your defense against the dark arts teacher at Hogwarts.
Fearfully fascinating subject. Not that you need it, eh, Potter?
Quirrell's eyes flutter nervously over Harry's scar.
Yes, well, must get on. Lost you, boy. See? Told you were famous.
Exterior back courtyard of the Leaky Cauldron. Moments later, Hagrid taps the bricks of the wall with the tip of his umbrella while Harry stands by, deep in thought.
Why am I famous, Hagrid? All those people back there. How is it they know who I am?
Don't know that I'm the right one to tell you that, Harry. Let's see now. 3 up, 2 across. Right. Stand back now.
Hagrid gives the wall one last tap, and the bricks quiver, wriggling and jiggling until an archway appears, giving out on a cobbled street so long and twisting it seems never to end. As Harry's jaw drops, Hagrid grins.
Welcome, Harry, to Diagon Alley.
Exterior Diagon Alley. As Harry steps through, the archway shrinks instantly into a solid wall. All around him, Harry sees mothers and fathers with children in tow, clutching lists similar to his own.
$17 an ounce for a dragon liver. Can you imagine the man?
It says brass, Trevor. As such, you will get brass.
There it is. The Nimbus 2000. Runs a good 20 times faster than the old Comets. Neil Marks himself rides it for the Chudley Cannons.
Mind you don't drop your bottle of eel's eye, Belinda, and not buy you another.
Harry tries to take everything in at once, marveling at shops specializing in everything from cauldrons, owls, and broomsticks to robes, unmentionables, and spellbooks.
Dragon liver. Do they mean from a real dragon?
Well, they don't mean a ruddy penguin. Crikey, I'd like a dragon.
You'd like a dragon.
Vastly misunderstood beast, Harry. Vastly misunderstood.
But how am I to pay for all this, Hagrid? I haven't any money.
Hagrid gestures towards a towering snow-white building ahead.
Where's your money, Gringotts? Wizard's Bank. No place safer, Harry, not one. Except perhaps Hogwarts.
Interior Gringotts. 100 goblins sit on high stools at a long counter, scribbling in ledgers, weighing coins on brass scales. As Harry and Hagrid enter, a clever-looking goblin closes the door behind them, watches their every step.
Hagrid, what exactly was that?
Your basic door goblin. Clever as they come, goblins, but not your most friendly beast. Best stay close. Morning, Mr. Harry Potter wishes to make a withdrawal.
And does Mr. Harry Potter have his key?
Let's see, got it here somewhere.
The goblin looks on disfavorably as Hagrid rifles his coat, producing in rapid succession a jingling ring of keys, one ball of string, a fistful of mint humbugs, 2 tea bags, and a moth, which simply flutters from one pocket to another.
Here's the little devil. There's another matter as well. I've got a letter from Professor Dumbledore. It's about you-know-what and about you-know-which.
Very well. I'll have Griphook take you.
Interior stone passageway, close on Griphook. A swarthy, slit-eyed goblin driving a small cart with white-knuckle precision down a stone passageway lit with flaming torches. They plunge deeper, come exterior vault stone passageway, whistling to a halt for a small door. Griphook steps out, takes Harry's key, and unlocks the vault, revealing great glittering pyramids of coin. Harry is speechless.
Didn't think your parents would leave you with nothing, did you?
Interior cart passageways. A few minutes later, the cart hurls deeper, abruptly stops.
Vault 713.
What's in here, Hagrid?
Can't tell you that, Harry. Hogwarts business. Very secret.
Griphook steps up to the door with no keyhole, strokes it with one long finger, and it simply melts away.
Anyone but a Gringotts goblin tried that. They'd be sucked through the door.
How often do you check to see if anyone's inside?
About once every 10 years.
He peers into the vault, sees a grubby little package. Hagrid slips it into the left coat pocket, returns.
Let's not mention this to anyone either, Harry.
Exterior Diagon Alley later. Harry and Hagrid exit the apothecary, loaded with Harry's various purchases. Harry studies the list in his hand.
I still need a wand.
Only place for wands is Ollivander's. You go inside. I got one more thing I've got to do.
Harry nods and walks into Ollivander's. Interior of Ollivander's wand shop. Harry and Hagrid stand in a very narrow shop where thousands of slender boxes are stacked to the ceiling. Hovering above them on a spindly ladder is a pale old man with eyes like silver moons. He is Ollivander.
I wondered when I'd be seeing you, Mr. Potter. Seems only yesterday your mother and father were in here buying their first wands.
Ollivander steps down with a pair of slender boxes.
Here we are. Give it a wave.
Feeling a bit stupid, Harry raises his arm. Nothing.
No, apparently not. Perhaps this.
Harry raises it and bright light shoots forth, sending a crystal vase of black roses shattering to the floor.
No, definitely not. No matter. After all, it's the wand that chooses the wizard.
Later, hundreds of wand boxes lie at Harry's feet. Hagrid, eyes heavy, sits on a spindly chair. Ollivander, meanwhile, stands atop the spindly ladder, eyeing his inventory.
I wonder.
Ollivander descends, presents a box. Stifling a yawn, Harry takes the wand and his expression changes.
Go on, then.
As Harry extends his arm, his hand trembles. A breeze stirs, sending the shop's tiny bell ringing. The pages of a book flutter on the counter, and Harry's hair feathers off his forehead, showing his scar. Astounded, Harry smiles, and then Ollivander slips the wand from his fingers, and the breeze dies. The shop returns to its old eerie calm.
Curious. Very curious.
Sorry, but what's curious?
I remember every wand I've ever sold, Mr. Potter. It so happens that the phoenix whose tail feather resides in your wand gave another feather. Just one other. It's curious that you should be destined for this wand when its brother gave you that scar.
And who owned that wand?
Ollivander exchanges a surprised glance with Hagrid.
We don't speak his name, Harry.
As I said, the wand chooses the wizard, Mr. Potter. It's not always clear why, but I think it's clear we can expect great things from you. After all, he who must not be named did great things.
Ollivander slides the lid on the box and hands it to Harry.
Terrible, yes, but great.
Harry looks out the window, sees Hagrid standing there holding a cage with a snow-white owl inside. Harry turns to say goodbye to Ollivander. He's gone. Harry runs outside. Exterior Diagon Alley. Harry runs up to Hagrid and looks at the owl.
Happy birthday, Harry.
For me? Really? He's mine?
Groggy, you'd think you hadn't gotten a birthday present before.
I haven't, not really.
Interior leaky cauldron. Hagrid and Harry sit at a table in the corner. Hagrid dips a spoon into a huge bowl of soup and looks up.
All right, Harry. You're very quiet.
He killed my parents, didn't he? The one who gave me this. You know, Hagrid, I know you do.
Hagrid studies Harry, conflicted, then sets down his spoon.
Of course I know. Who do you think carried you out of your parents' house Halloween night 10 years ago? Who do you think brought you to Dumbledore and watched him lay you on your aunt and uncle's doorstep? Of course I know, Harry.
Hagrid leans in closer, his eyes glimmering in the dim pub.
First, understand this, because it's important. Not all your wizards are good. Some go bad. Years ago, there was this one wizard who went as bad as you could go. His name was...
Maybe if you wrote it down.
Nah, can't spell it. All right. Voldemort.
Voldemort?
Hagrid shivers, holds up his hand, and glances quickly about the shadows of the pub before continuing.
Dark days those were, Harry. You know who. Started looking for followers. Got him too. Anyone that stood up to him ended up dead, including your parents. No one lived once he decided to kill him. Not one. Except you.
Me. Voldemort tried to kill me.
That's no ordinary cut on your forehead. A mark like that only comes when you've been touched by a curse. An evil curse.
Just then, a high, cackling voice pierces the silence. Harry turns, sees an old woman laughing with a gummy bartender.
But what happened to... Well, you know who.
Some say he died. Call a swap, in my opinion. I reckon he's out there somewhere. Just too weak to carry on. One thing's for certain, Harry. Something about you stumped him that night. That's why you're famous. That's why everyone knows your name.
Hagrid leans close once more, and this time his voice is barely a whisper.
You're the boy who lived.
Exterior King's Cross Station at dawn. Harry and Hagrid, laden with a heavy trunk and snowy owl, stand outside the station in the shimmering dawn light. Hagrid checks his watch, looks suddenly urgent.
Blimey, look at the time. We'd have to be leaving you now, Harry. Dumbledore will be wanting...
Hagrid pats his left pocket and catches himself.
He'll be wanting to see me. That there's your train. Leaves in about 10 minutes' time. Just make sure you stick to your ticket. That's very important, Harry. Stick to your ticket.
From 9 3/4. There must be something wrong, Hagrid. This says platform 9 3/4. There's no such thing.
Harry looks up, but Hagrid is gone.
Is there?
Interior lower level of King's Cross. Moments later, Harry dashes through a bustling King's Cross, sledding into a halt in front of a pair of platform signs. One reads 9, one reads 10. Harry turns to a passing station officer.
Excuse me, can you tell me where I might find platform 9 3/4? Nine and 3/4.
Think you're funny, do you? 9 3/4 indeed.
Harry looks about despairingly, then hears.
Every year, packed with muggles, of course.
Harry turns, sees a plump woman, Mrs. Weasley, hurrying along with 4 red-headed boys and their little red-headed sister, Ginny. The boys all tow trunks identical to Harry's.
All right, Percy, you first.
Harry watches the tallest boy walk straight towards the dividing barrier and vanish. Harry squints in confusion. Next, Mrs. Weasley turns to a pair of cheeky twins, Fred and George.
Fred, you next.
I'm not Fred, I'm George. Honestly, woman, you call yourself your mother.
Sorry, George.
Only joking. I am Fred.
Fred dashes off, trailed by George. They too vanish.
Excuse me, could you tell me how
to get onto the platform? Not to worry, dear. It's Ron's first time at Hogwarts as well.
Harry looks at the youngest red-haired boy. He is tall, gangly, and presently has a smudge on his nose.
All you have to do is walk straight at the barrier between platform 9 and 10. Focus. You don't want to stop, and don't be scared. You'll crash into it either. Best to do it at a bit of a run if you're nervous.
Harry looks, shrugs. Sprinting at full speed, the barrier coming closer and closer. He shuts his eyes and, exterior platform 9 3/4, sleds onto the platform milling with people. A sign above reads Hogwarts Express. Below it sits a scarlet steam engine. Harry glances behind, sees a wrought iron archway where the barrier had been, with the words platform 9 3/4 on it. Just beyond, he sees King's Cross and the world he's left behind. New angle on platform. Harry struggles with his heavy trunk as all around him people say goodbye to their families. A round-faced boy, Neville Longbottom, turns frantically to his gran.
Run! I lost my toad again.
Oh, Neville, honestly, not again.
Further up, a boy in dreadlocks, Lee Jordan, holds a box.
Go on, Lee. Give us a look.
As Lee lifts the lid, a long, hairy leg protrudes and the students shriek. Unimpressed, one of the twins spots Harry struggling.
Want a hand?
Yes, please.
Oi, come here, Fred. Take a handle.
Further along the platform, seconds later, Fred and George heave Harry's trunk atop the other. Similar trunks while Harry sets Hedwig with the owls. Harry wipes his sweaty hair off his brow, revealing his scar.
Thanks very much.
Blimey, you're Harry Potter.
What? Oh, him, yes. I mean, I am.
Fred, George, come say goodbye to Ginny.
Mrs. Weasley stands waving, the red-headed girl clinging to her dress. The twins take one last look at Harry and dash off. Interior train compartment. Harry exits the crush of the aisle, enters an empty compartment. Very much alone, he sits and peers out the window as Percy strides forth the billowing black robes.
I have to go, Mother. The other prefects are expecting me up front.
Mum, guess who's on the train right now? Harry Potter.
Oh, Mum, can I go on and see him, please?
Certainly not. The boy is not something to goggle at the zoo. All right, on you go, all of you. Ron, what is that on your nose?
She goes for a handkerchief, but Ron spins away. She sighs and calls after the twins.
You two watch out for your brother. And behave yourselves this year. If I get one more owl telling me you've blown up a toilet or something.
Blown up a toilet? We've never blown up a toilet. Great idea, though. Thanks, Mom.
Exterior Hogwarts Express. As the train moves off the station, Ginny chases after. Harry watches her from his window until she drops back. King's Cross and the life he's known drift away. Exterior Scotland on the Hogwarts Express. The train whips past fields, small country lanes. Interior train compartment. Harry sits quietly, then the compartment door slides open. Ron stands there. Seeing Harry, he hesitates.
Mind, whatever else is full.
Not at all.
I'm Ron, by the way.
I heard. I'm Harry.
I heard. Is it true? I mean, have you really got the
Without prompting, Harry lifts his hair and shows a scar.
Wicked.
Are all your family wizards?
Huh? Oh, I think so. Well, Mum's got a second cousin who's an accountant, but we never really talk about him. I hope you want to live with muggles. What are they like?
Horrible. Well, not all of them. Mine are, though. Trade them for 3 wizard brothers any day.
5. I'm the 6th in our family to go to Hogwarts. Everyone expects me to do as well as the others, but if I do, it's no big deal because they did it first. You never get anything new either with 5 brothers. I've got Bill's old robes, Charlie's old wand, even Scabbers used to be Percy's.
Ron reaches into his pocket, pulls out a fat, gray, seemingly unconscious rat, Scabbers.
Hardly ever wakes up. He's useless, basically. Percy's got an owl for making prefect, but Mum and Dad couldn't afford... I got Scabbers instead.
Ron looks embarrassed. Just then, a dimpled woman pushing a trolley full of sweets pops her head in.
Trolley gas.
Ron mumbles no thanks, takes out a lumpy sandwich. Harry studies him, then digs in his pocket, heavy with coin.
We'll take the lot.
Close-up of the treats. In the train compartment later, they spread out on an empty seat. Harry marvels at the strange, wondrous candies before him.
Bertie bought every flavor beans.
They mean every flavor. There's chocolate, peppermint, but you can also get liver or spinach or tripe. George reckons he got a bogey-flavored one once.
These aren't real frogs, are they?
Harry holds up a pack of chocolate frogs. Something is wiggling under the foil. Then he sees that Ron already has a very realistic leg swirling out the corner of his mouth.
Just a spell. Besides, it's the card you want. Each pack's got a famous witch or wizard. Got about 500 myself. Watch it.
As Harry breaks the foil on his pack, the frog springs into the air and out in the open train window.
That's rotten luck. They've only got one good jump in them to begin with.
Harry glances at the card in his hand. On it, there is a man with a crooked nose, long silver beard, and a half-moon glasses. Underneath is a name, Albus Dumbledore.
I've got Dumbledore.
I've got about 6 of him. Tried use Scabbers, though. You got Agrippa or Ptolemy.
Considered by many the greatest wizard of modern times, Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the Dark Wizard of Grimwald in 1945, for his discovery of the 12 uses of dragon's blood, and his work on alchemy with this. Partner Nicholas Flamel, approximately 150 years old, Professor Dumbledore enjoys chamber music, tepin bowling, and 150 years old.
Thought he'd be older, did you?
No, Hey, he's gone.
Harry holds up the card, now blank, to Ron, who only shrugs.
Well, you can't expect him to hang around all day, can you?
It's just in the Mugger world, people stay put in photos.
Really? They don't move at all? Weird.
Just then, Scabbard snorts and falls asleep.
Attic, isn't he? Fred gave me a spell that's to turn him yellow. Wanna see?
Harry nods, eager to see some magic. Ron pulls out a battered wand, just as the compartment door opens and a girl with bushy brown hair and rather large front teeth looks in. She's Hermione Granger and is already wearing her school robes.
Has anyone seen a toad? A boy named Neville has lost one. Oh, are you doing magic? Let's see then.
She sits down. Ron looks a bit taken aback, but clears his throat nonetheless, poises the wand over Scabbers.
Sunshine, daisies, buttermellow. Turn this stupid fat rat yellow.
Scabbers snorts, but otherwise remains fat, gray, and asleep.
Are you sure that's a real spell? Well, it's not a very good one, is it? I've only tried a few simple ones myself, but they've all worked for me. For example...
To Harry's surprise, Hermione takes out her wand, points it directly over his brow, and then stops.
Goodness! You're Harry Potter, aren't you? I know all about you, of course. I was doing a little recreational reading, and you're in modern magical history, the rise and fall of the dark arts and great wizarding events of the 20th century.
Am I?
Didn't you know? I'd have found out everything I could if it was me. Anyway, Oculus Reparo.
Instantly, the cracked bridge of Harry's glasses is mended.
There, that's better, isn't it? I'm Hermione Granger, by the way. And you are...
Ron is still staring at the glasses, feeling a bit outdone.
Ron Weasley.
Pleasure. Do either of you know what house you'll be in? I'm hoping for Gryffindor. I hear Dumbledore himself was in it, but I think I might just die if they put me in Slytherin. That was, you know, whose house. Anyway, you two had better change into your robes. I expect we'll be arriving soon. You've got dirt on your nose, by the way. Did you know?
She exits. Harry and Ron just sit, staring at the door. Exterior Hogsmeade Station, night. As the Scarlet Engine hisses to a stop, Harry and the others spill out. Harry's robes shimmer grandly, while Ron's second-hand silk show a bit too much sneakier.
First years over here.
Hagrid gives Harry a wink as he comes looping out of the darkness, swinging a lamp. Ron, preoccupied with wiping his nose clean on his robe, stops, dumbstruck by Hagrid's size.
Whoa.
Exterior Black Lane night, moments later. A fleet of tiny boats glides silently over a glassy lake. Harry rides with Ron, Hermione, and Neville Longbottom, gazing at the dark trees of the forest that surrounds them. A glint of silver flickers through the black trees like a dream. Harry watches, transfixed, and then...
You there. Don't be trailing your fingers in the water. You might find you don't get them all back.
Harry turns, sees that Hagrid is speaking to a pointy-faced boy, Draco Malfoy. Malfoy eyes Hagrid darkly, whispers to a pair of thick-looking boys, Crabbe and Goyle. Harry peers onto the black water and sees his own pale face looking back. Then a soft glitter of reflected light dances on the surface. He looks up and watches a magnificent castle drift into the view, Hogwarts. Interior entrance hall of the Hogwarts castle. Harry and the others enter a grand entryway lit with flaming torches. Professor McGonagall, a rather severe-looking witch in an emerald cloak, stands before a pair of towering doors. She lifts her chin and surveys the new students.
Welcome to Hogwarts. In a moment, you will pass through these doors and join your classmates. But before you can take your seats, you must be sorted into your houses. They are Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin. While here, your house, and in many ways, is your family. Your triumphs will earn your house points, while any rule breaking will lose points. At the end of the year, the house with the most awarded in the house with the most is awarded the house cup. A great honor. I hope each of you...
Just then, a rather large toad springs forth and croaks. Neville, blissfully relieved, gathers his toad, then peers from the hem of Professor McGonagall's robes.
Will be a credit to whichever house becomes yours. The sorting ceremony will begin momentarily.
Professor McGonagall glowers at Neville, then exits. Then as she goes, there's a brief clamor of sound from the students waiting in the great hall beyond.
How exactly do they sort us?
Some kind of test, I think. Fred says it hurts like hell, but I'm sure he was joking. At least, I think he was.
Just then, Draco Malfoy pushes through the crowd, shadowed by the boys from the boat. Malfoy stares openly at Harry's scar.
So it's true then, what they were saying on the train. Harry Potter's come to Hogwarts.
Harry's eyes slide, appraising the other two boys.
Oh, this is Crabbe and Goyle. My name's Malfoy. Draco Malfoy.
Ron coughs, making a snicker. Malfoy's eyes narrow.
Think my name's funny, do you? No need to ask yours. Red hair, freckles, and a hand-me-down robe. You must be a Weasley. You'll soon find some wizarding families are better than others, Potter. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you there.
Malfoy extends his hand, but Harry's gaze remains level.
I think I can tell the wrong sort for myself, thanks.
Malfoy's eyes glitter with rage. Finally, he drops his hand and turns away.
Well, he's rather disagreeable, isn't he?
Ron and Harry turn, seeing Hermione. Just then, Professor McGonagall returns.
We are ready for you.
Interior Great Hall. Harry and the others file into a strangely splendid place, lit by thousands of candles floating in midair over 4 long tables lined with students. Harry looks to the window below the ceiling and finds glorious stars and an icy blue moon.
It's not real. It's a feeling. It's only bewitched to look like the night sky. I read about it in Hogwarts, a history.
Professor McGonagall sweeps to the front of the room where a wizard's hat, patched and frayed, sits on a stool.
Before we begin, Professor Dumbledore would like to say a few words.
Harry watches with great interest as the great wizard himself rises from his seat at a high table.
Yes, and here they are. Nitwit, Blubber, Oddment, Tweak. Thank you.
Great Hall thunders with applause.
I hear he's a genius.
As the applause subsides, the hat twitches. At the brim, the rip opens wide and the hat begins to talk.
Oh, you may not think I'm pretty, but don't judge on what you see. I'll eat myself if you can find a smarter hat than me. There's nothing hidden in your head the sorting hat can't see. So try me on and I will tell you where you ought to be.
As the students applaud, the hat takes a bow and Professor McGonagall steps forward with a roll of parchment.
Now, when I call your name, you will come forth, put on the hat, and be sorted. Hermione Granger?
It's here. Here it is, isn't it? The moment. Goodness, what if the hat says nothing? We're all just left standing here forever.
Oh. Mental, that one, I'm telling you.
Both watch Hermione seat herself, lower the hat.
Gryffindor!
Percy pulls out a chair for Hermione at the Gryffindor table.
Draco Malfoy.
Slytherin.
Draco Malfoy swaggers forth and grips the hat. He's barely touched it to his head when...
Slytherin!
There's not a witch or wizard who went bad that wasn't in Slytherin. Draco's father was one of the first to join you-know-who when he got power. One of the first to come back when he lost it.
Susan Bones?
As Susan Bones dashes up front, Harry glances to the high table. Dumbledore watches the proceedings placidly while Professor Quirrell talks to a hooked-nosed man with greasy black hair and sallow skin, Professor Snape. Slowly, as if he can feel Harry's gaze, Snape turns, looks straight into Harry's eyes. Instantly, a sharp, hot pain shoots across Harry's scar.
Ouch.
Harry, what is it?
Nothing, I'm fine.
Hufflepuff!
Susan Bones runs off.
Ronald Weasley.
As Ron steps nervously away, Harry glances back to the high table. Snape has returned to his conversation.
Gryffindor!
Fred and George whoop loudly as Ron comes grinning out of the hat, greatly relieved. Harry starts a clap to himself when
Harry Potter.
There's an abrupt drop in the chatter. As Harry makes his way, he avoids the eyes of many who stare and whisper.
If you will, Mr. Potter.
Harry sits, takes the hat, and slowly lowers it. He waits, then the hat begins to speak.
Difficult, very difficult. Plenty of courage, I see, not a bad mind either. There's talent, oh yes, and a thirst to prove yourself. But where to put you?
Harry grips the edge of the stool, closes his eyes, lips move ever so slightly. Not Slytherin, not Slytherin.
Not Slytherin, eh? Are you sure? Could be great, you know. It's all here in your head, and Slytherin will help you on the way to greatness. No doubt about that. No? Well, if you're sure, better be Gryffindor!
A roar erupts from the Gryffindor table. Harry stands shakily and walks to his table, where Percy, the Weasley twins, and Hermione all welcome him. At the high table, Dumbledore lifts his goblet and, meeting Harry's eyes, nods. Later in the hall, freshly sorted and seated, the Gryffindor first years watch in amazement as the empty plates before them suddenly fill with food. There's roast beef, chicken, pork chops, lamb chops, sausages, bacon, steak, the feast of all feasts. Harry listens as a rather wild-looking boy named Seamus walks into another student, Dean Thomas.
I'm half and half. Me dad's a muggle. Mom's a witch. Bit of a nasty shock for him when he found out.
As Percy leans over to pour a strange liquid into Harry's goblet, Harry nods to the high table to Professor Snape.
Say, Percy, who's that teacher talking to Professor Quirrell?
Him? Oh, Professor Snape, head of Slytherin House.
What's he teach?
Potions. Whatever he knows is the dark arts he fancies. Been after Quirrell's job for years.
Just then, several students shriek as a volley of ghosts stream into the hall overhead. One swoops down.
Hello, Sir Nicholas. Have a nice summer.
Dismal. Well, with the Slytherins winning the House Cup 6 years in a row, the bloody Baron's become unbearable.
Dick nods his head in the direction of the Slytherin table where a horrific blood-stained ghost hovers imperiously.
Then again, it's always been unbearable. Ron.
Oh, I was like 2 lines back, sorry. I know you, you're nearly headless, Nick.
I prefer Sir Nicholas, if you don't mind.
Nearly headless? How can you be nearly headless?
Like this.
Raising himself by the left ear, Nick swings his entire head off his neck and onto his shoulder as if it were on a hinge.
I think I'm done eating.
Just then, Dumbledore rises at the high table.
If I may, I have a few start of term notices to announce. First years should note the Dark Forest is strictly forbidden to all pupils. Also, our caretaker, Mr. Filch, has asked me to remind you that...
Filch, a sour-looking man, stands near a side exit while Mrs. Norris, the cat with glittering red eyes, sits by his feet.
No magic should be used between classes in the corridors. And finally, please note that this year, the third floor corridor on the right-hand side is out of bounds to anyone who does not wish to die a most painful death.
Hearing this, Ron stops chewing for the first time, glances at Harry, but before either can speak...
And now, let us pick the school song. Everyone pick their favorite tune and off we go.
Professor McGonagall rolls her eyes slightly as Dumbledore wields his wand, consulting the parchment of lyrics placed beside their plates. Harry and his fellow first years join a rousing but rather discordant chorus of voices.
Hogwarts, Hogwarts, Hoggy Warty Hogwarts, teach us things worth knowing, bring back what we forgot, just do your best, we'll do the rest, and learn until our brains all rot.
Interior marble staircase at Hogwarts later that night. As the new Gryffindors follow Percy up the staircase, Harry stares in wonderment at the portraits on the walls. The people in them move.
This is the most direct path to the dormitory, except on Fridays, of course, when the staircases change.
As the staircase before them moves to the right, Percy waits briefly, then leads without a comment to the seventh floor corridor moments later. Up ahead, Harry spies a bundle of walking sticks floating in midair. Without warning, the walking sticks come flying forth. As the first years duck and dodge, Percy sighs in annoyance.
Gryffindors, I gave you Peeves, Hogwarts resident poltergeist.
A tiny translucent man with wicked eyes and wide mouth appears, clutching the last walking stick. He is Peeves.
Ooh, icky firsties. What fun.
With that, Peeves swoops off, wagging his tongue and bouncing a walking stick off Neville's head.
Rather a nuisance, I'm afraid. Ah, there we are.
At the very end of the corridor hangs a portrait of a woman in a pink silk dress. She looks at Percy.
Password.
Caput honest.
The portrait swings forward, revealing a round hole in the wall. The students all scramble through it into the Gryffindor common room. The students enter a cozy round room filled with squashy armchairs. At the top of the spiral staircase, there are two doors.
Girls dormitory to the left, boys to the right. You'll find your belongings have already been brought up. Any questions? Then good night all. Oh, and don't forget, before retiring, please place all living potion ingredients in your cupboards. This includes slugs, fire beetles, and cutworms. Sweet dreams.
Interior boys' tower dormitory later. Moonlight falls through the tower windows as Ron, Neville, and Seamus slumber. As we find Harry, he is sleeping too, but it is not restful. He twitches and turns. There's a flash of green. Then he awakens with a start. Sits up trembling. He glances about the room, then lies slowly back, eyes open. In the stairway, 12 North, Hogwarts, the morning. Stairway bustles with students as Harry and Ron make their way. Clearly lost, Ron consults his timetable.
There's a staircase 12 North, which should take us to backwards staircase 7. No, wait a minute. We're on backwards staircase 7.
How many staircases are there?
142, though in a history of magic, Bathilda Bagshot makes unattributed reference to 3 others.
Harry and Ron watch Hermione pass by, apparently holding every single first-year course book in her arms.
I hate her.
Interior McGonagall classroom later. Students sit attentively looking up front at a cat. Its markings, particularly around the eyes, are somehow familiar. Harry and Ron burst in, glancing around.
Whew, we've made it, mate. Can you imagine all McGonagall's face if we were late first day out?
Hearing this, the cat narrows its eyes, leaps up, and transforms into old McGonagall herself. Ron's mouth drops open in amazement.
Thank you for the...
Bloody brilliant.
Thank you for that assessment, Mr. Weasley. But perhaps it might be more useful if I transfigured Mr. Potter and yourself into a pocket watch. That way one of you might be on time.
We got lost.
Then perhaps a map? I trust you don't need one to find your seats.
Harry and Ron slink past Hermione, sitting front row center.
Transfiguration is some of the most complex and dangerous and valuable magic you will ever learn in Hogwarts. Use it skillfully and it may one day save your life. make a mistake and you could find yourself with a toad's head and a monkey's tail. All right? Shall we?
Harry and Ron exchange a glance, whip open their books. Interior dungeons, potions the next morning. As Professor Snape paces imperiously, Harry and the others sit in dead silence, eyes wandering to the pickled animals floating in glass jars along the cold stone walls.
There'll be no foolish unbelieving or silly incantations in this class. As such, I don't expect many of you to appreciate the subtle science and exact art that is potion making. However, for those select few who possess predisposition, I can teach you how to bewitch the mind and ensnare the senses. I can tell you how to bottle fame through glory, even stop death. And again, maybe some of you have come to Hogwarts in possession of abilities so formidable that you feel confident enough to not pay attention.
Harry blinks and realizes Snape is looking at him.
Mr. Potter, our new celebrity. Tell me, what would I get if I added powdered roots of asphodel to the infusion of wormwood?
Harry looks at a loss. Hermione's hand shoots into the air.
You don't know. Well, let's try again. Where, Mr. Potter, would you look if I told you to find me a basil?
I don't know, sir.
And the difference between monkshood and wolfsbane.
Harry sees Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle sniggering.
I don't know, sir.
Pity. Clearly, fame isn't everything, is it?
Clearly Hermione knows. Seems a pity not to ask her.
Neville, Seamus, and a few other Gryffindors laugh.
Silence! And put your hand down, you silly girl.
Hermione wilts. Snape steps towards Harry, eyes glimmering.
For your information, Potter, asphodel hormone make a sleeping potion so powerful it is known as a draught of living dead. A basil is a stone taken from the stomach of a goat and will save you from most poisons. As for monkshood and wolfsbane, they are the same plant, which also goes by the name of aconite. Well, why aren't you all crossed down?
Students scramble for their quills and parchment.
And Gryffindors, note that 5 points were taken from your house for your classmate's cheek.
Interior Great Hall later that day. Harry stares glumly at 4 hourglasses as the precious gems drop in Gryffindors, rise in Slytherins. Down the table, Seamus is muttering.
Eye of rabbit, harpstring hum. Eye
What's
of
Seamus
rabbit,
trying to do to that
harpstring
glass of
hum.
water?
Turn it to one. Actually managed a weak tea yesterday before it...
Blue flames shoot over the rim of the glass.
Two Nuts says he loses his eyebrows by week's end. Ah, mail's here.
Dozens of owls circle the ceiling, then swoop down, dropping parcels from home. A copy of the Daily Prophet rolls onto a table near Harry.
Hey, look. Neville's got a rememberall.
Neville holds a glass ball filled with white smoke. Slowly, the smoke begins to turn a deep scarlet.
I've read about those. If the smoke turns red, it means you've forgotten something.
Only problem is, I can't remember what I've forgotten.
Harry, Daily Prophet in hand, nudges Ron.
Hey, Ron. Somebody broke into Gringotts. Listen. Believed to be the work of dark wizards or witches unknown, Gringotts goblins, while acknowledging the breach, insist nothing was taken. The vault in question had in fact been emptied earlier that same day. That's odd. That's the vault Hagrid and I went to.
Mad. Dad says there are dragons guarding some of the vaults.
No, it's just odd. That's the day Hagrid and I were there.
Interior grounds in Hogwarts. Harry stands in a cluster of Gryffindors across from Malfoy and his Slytherin cronies. Between them, there is a long line of broomsticks. Madame Hooch, a rangy witch with a short gray hair and hawk-like eyes, stands between the two groups.
Welcome to your first flying lesson. Well, what are y'all waiting for? Everyone step up to your broomstick. Come now, hurry up.
Harry steps forward nervously, glances down. His broom is old, with twigs sticking out at odd angles.
Stick out your right hand over the broom and say up.
Shouts up, ring on the cold afternoon air. Though he barely whispers the command, Harry's broom snaps smartly in his hand. Hermione simply rolls over. Ron's flies up, cracks him in the nose.
Now, once you've got hold of the broom, I want you to mount it and grip it tight. We don't want you sliding off the end. Your other right hand, Mr. Finnegan. Goodness, boy, what have you done with your eyebrows?
Lost them, ma'am.
Excuse me, Madam Hooch. Given that a few of us have been on sticks for years, would it make more sense to separate the experienced flyers from the neophytes?
Thank you, Mr. Malfoy. But I'm sure even an expert flyer such as yourself can appreciate the benefits of reacquainting oneself with the basics. Your grip, for example. It's thumb in, not out.
As Malfoy reddens, Harry and Ron share a grin.
Very well. Now, when I blow my whistle, I want each of you to kick off from the ground. Hard. Keep your broom steady. Hover for a moment, and then lean forward slightly, and touch back down. On my whistle. 3, 2.
Dumping the gun entirely, a nervous Neville shoots straight up in the air, like a cork out of a bottle.
Mr. Longbottom, exactly where do you think you're going?
Clutching desperately to his broom, Neville carooms crazily off a tree, flops upside down, rockets past the other students who duck, then soar into a mad spiraling climb.
Come down here this instant.
Neville's pale face peers down, his eyes roll up.
On your broomstick, Longbottom.
Too late. With a giant thud and a nasty crack, Neville hits the pitch. Madam Hooch and the Gryffindors rush over.
Broken wrist. Come on, dear. Up you get. Everyone's to keep their feet on the ground while I take Mr. Longbottom to the hospital wing. Understand? If I see a single broom in the air, the one riding it will find themselves out of Hogwarts before they can even say Quidditch.
As they go, Harry watches Neville's broom sail high over Hagrid's house, where the giant himself sits in the front garden, watching with a pair of binoculars. Malfoy scoops Neville's rememberall from the grass and cackles.
See his face? Perhaps the great lump gave this a squeeze, he would remember to fall on his fat ass.
Give it here, Malfoy.
No. I think I'll leave it somewhere for Longbottom to find. How about up a tree?
Malfoy slings a leg over his broom and kicks into the air.
What's the matter, Potter? Bit beyond your reach?
Harry glowers up at Malfoy, then grabs his broom.
Harry, no! You heard what Madam Hooch said. Besides, you don't even know how to fly.
Harry shoots into the sky, so angry that it's a moment before he realizes what the others see clearly. He's a natural. Turning his broomstick sharply, he hovers, glaring at Malfoy.
Give it here, Malfoy, or I'll knock you off your broom.
Is that so?
Harry shoots forth like a javelin, Malfoy just managing to slip his charge. As Harry whips around, Malfoy glances down at the ground, clearly unnerved. Harry simply smiles.
Have it your way, then.
Malfoy hurls the ball high. As it plummets, Harry throws himself into a steep dive, rocketing recklessly downward, ignoring the earth as it rushes toward him, extending his hand and, snatching the ball only feet from the ground, he lands running, grinning as the Gryffindors cheer. Then...
Harry Potter!
Harry's stomach drops. Malfoy grins hideously.
Chin up, Potter. They might let you stay on as Hagrid's assistant.
Interior corridor moments later. Harry trails silently after Professor McGonagall. In the classroom, Professor McGonagall leans into the adjacent classroom.
Excuse me, Professor Quirrell. Could I borrow wood for a moment?
Startled, Professor Quirrell jumps. Then Oliver Wood, a burly fifth year, emerges, glances curiously at Harry.
Potter, this is Oliver Wood. Wood, I've found you a seeker.
Interior corridor. Harry and Ron walk, buffeted by the stream of students headed for dinner. Hermione walks a few steps behind.
Seeker? But first years never make the house teams. You must be the youngest Quidditch player in...
a century, according to McGonagall.
Then Fred and George descend.
Well done, Harry. Wood just told us.
Fred and George are on the team too. Beaters.
Our job is to make sure you don't get bloodied up too bad. Can't make any promises, of course. Rough game, Quidditch. Brutal. But no one's died in years. Someone will vanish occasionally, but they turn up in a month or two.
As the twins dash off, Ron reads Harry's troubled face.
Oh, go on, Harry. Quidditch is great. Best game there is. And you'll be great too.
But I've never even played Quidditch. What if I make a fool of myself?
You won't make a fool of yourself.
Ron and Harry turn. They haven't even noticed Hermione.
It's in your blood.
Interior trophy staircase. Moments later, Hermione leads Harry and Ron to a display case. Inside is a history of Quidditch at Hogwarts with ancient brooms, strange equipment, and various trophies. She points. Etched upon a silver tray below a Gryffindor lion, one name shines. James Potter, Seeker.
Harry, you didn't tell me your father was a Seeker too.
I didn't know.
Interior marble staircase later. As Harry and Ron trail Hermione up the staircase, Ron whispers.
I'm telling you, it's spooky. She knows more about you than you do.
Who doesn't?
Just then, the staircase lurches beneath their feet. Interior forbidden corridor continuous as it transports them to a very dark, very creepy corridor.
Does anybody feel like we shouldn't be here?
We're not supposed to be here. This is the 3rd floor. It's forbidden.
Why though?
Because Dumbledore said so. Let's go.
Meow. They freeze. A cat sits watching them, eyes glittering in the dark. Then, a shadow scales the wall.
Who goes there?
They turn and dash the opposite way. As they reach a door, Harry grips the knob, twists, it's locked.
Leave me today, my sweet.
That's it. We're done for.
Oh, move over! Alohomora!
Hermione gives her wand a swish, and the door swings open. Harry and Ron stare incredulously.
Standard Book of Spells, Chapter 7.
Interior forbidden room. As they fall inside, Hermione presses her ear to the door.
Chapter 7?
Shh. Filch is gone.
Probably thinks the store's locked.
It was locked.
And for good reason.
Hermione and Ron turn. Standing a feet away is a dog, only this one has 3 heads, 3 pairs of mad rolling eyes, and 3 sets of hideous yellow fangs dripping with saliva. As the dog roars, they tumble back outside, and Harry flings home the door just before the dog throws itself against it. They exchange a glance and dash off. Interior Gryffindor common room that night. The Pink Lady frowns as they spill through and stand gasping.
What do they think they're doing? A thing like that locked up in a school.
You don't use your eyes, do you? Didn't you see what it was standing on?
I wasn't looking at its feet. I was a bit preoccupied with its heads. Maybe you didn't notice. There were 3.
It was standing on a trap door, which means it's not there by accident. It's
guarding something.
That's right. Now, if you don't mind, I think I'll go to bed before either of you figures out another clever way to get us killed, or worse, expelled.
Interior practice field dusk. Harry stands with Oliver Wood on the empty practice pitch.
Eric.
Here I am. All right. Quidditch is easy to understand. Each team has 7 players, 3 chasers, 2 beaters, 1 keeper, and a seeker. That's you. There are 3 kinds of balls. This one's called the quaffle. The chasers handle the quaffle and try to put it through one of those 3 hoops. The keeper, that's me, defends the hoops. With me so far?
Harry nods, points to a wood crate rocking violently.
I think so. What's in there?
Here, take this.
Wood hands Harry a small club, kneels before the crate, and unlashes a leather strap. Instantly, a black ball rockets into the sky. Then, without warning, plummets straight down at Harry's head. Startled, Harry jumps aside and, purely on instinct, clubs it back to the sky.
Not bad, Potter. You'd make a fair beater. Careful now, it's coming back.
As the ball screams back to Earth, Wood crates it.
What was that?
Bludger. Nasty little buggers. But you are a seeker. The only bowl I want you to worry about is this.
It takes out a tiny ball about the size of a walnut. Bright gold, it has little fluttering wings.
I like this ball.
No, you like it now. Just wait. It's wicked fast and damn near impossible to see.
What do I do with it?
You catch it before the other team seeker. You catch this, the game's over. You catch this, Potter, and we win.
Interior Professor Flitwick's class day. Professor Flitwick, a very tiny, gnome-like wizard, stands on a pile of books as he oversees the class.
Now, don't forget that nice wrist movement we've been practicing. Swish and flick, swish and flick.
Harry Harry, paired with Seamus, poses his wand over the feather before him and begins to swish and flick.
Wingardium Leviosa.
The feather flutters but never leaves the table.
And enunciate. Never forget Wizard Barufio, who said S instead of F and found himself on the floor with a buffalo on his chest.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Ron windmills his arms grandly. Nothing. Hermione frowns.
Honestly, you're going to take someone's eye out. Besides, you're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Do it then if you're so clever.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Hermione swishes and flicks. Instantly, the feather rises.
Well done. Everyone see here. Miss Granger's done it.
Across the room, smoke curls between Seamus and Harry.
I think we're going to need another feather over here, Professor.
Interior courtyard later. As Harry and Ron cross the courtyard, Ron mimics Hermione.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. She's a nightmare, honestly. No wonder she hasn't got any friends.
Just then, someone bumps into Harry. He turns, sees Hermione dash by, hugging her books, eyes glittering with tears.
I think she heard you.
Interior Great Hall that night. Candlelit pumpkins flicker throughout the hall while thousands of live bats flutter overhead. Harry sits quietly studying an empty chair, then sees Professor McGonagall standing across the way with Hagrid. Both are looking at him. McGonagall says something to Hagrid, who nods, then he steps away and approaches Harry.
Are you, Potter? All right?
Yes, Professor, fine.
I know, that is, we know, the members of the staff, that this is perhaps a difficult night for you. Halloween, your parents.
Harry realizes what she's talking about and nods.
I'm all right, Professor.
Very well.
She turns and starts to go.
Professor, thank you.
You're welcome, Potter.
As she goes, Harry sees Ron glumly pushing his food around, listening to Neville speak across the empty chair to Seamus.
Auntie Petite said she wouldn't come out to the girls' bathroom. Said she's been there all afternoon crying.
Just then, Professor Quirrell runs into the room and cries out.
The mouse. It's the dungeon. Thought you ought to know.
He faints to the floor. There is a brief silence, then utter pandemonium breaks out. Students shriek, bats screech, pop, pop, pop. The hall goes still. All eyes on Dumbledore, standing at the front, purple smoke trailing from his wand.
Everyone, please not panic. Prefects, lead your houses back to the dormitories. Teachers, follow me to the dungeon.
Interior marble staircase moments later. As they follow Percy up the stairs, Ron still looks glum.
How could a troll get in?
Not on its own. Trolls are really stupid. Probably Peeves playing jokes. What?
Hermione, she doesn't know.
Interior girls' bathroom corridor moments later. Harry and Ron slip away from the Gryffindors, in with the Hufflepuffs, then down the deserted hallway. As footsteps ring out, they duck behind a stone griffin, see Snape hurrying past.
That's the third floor he's going to. Teachers were supposed to go to the dungeons. What's that?
Smells like Fred's socks, only worse.
Much worse. Lumbering towards them is a troll with an enormous club. As it comes into a patch of moonlight, it blinks stupidly, peers into a doorway, then slouches slowly inside. Harry studies a suit of armor beside the door and thinks.
Follow me.
Harry edges forward, pulls the sword from the suit of armor, and runs it through the door handle, trapping the troll.
Yes.
Harry grins, then hears a high, petrified scream.
This wouldn't be the girls' bathroom, would it?
Close up on Hermione screaming. A huge shadow falls over her face. Hermione's point of view, as the troll advances directly toward her. She dashes into a stall, bolts the door, trembling. She peers upward, watching as the troll's face appears over the top, looking in. Panicked, she drops to the floor and shimmies into the next stall, out of sight. Angered, the troll raises its club and smash, shatters the stall Hermione just vacated. As wood rains down in jagged, splintered pieces, Harry and Ron rush in, staring in horror as the troll raises the club high and shatters the next stall. Hermione, still crawling, covers her head and peers back. Smash! The club comes thundering down yet again, this time just inches from her foot.
Don't worry, Hermione. We're here. She's dead.
Heard that?
What do we do?
Confuse it.
Confuse it? Hey, pea-brain!
Harry and Ron grab anything they can and begin to hurl it at the troll, but they might as well be throwing marshmallows. As shards of wood bounce off its pint-sized head and great lumpy shoulders, the troll brings the club down once more and shatters the last stall. As Harry and Ron look on grimly, the troll jabs its club into the hash of wood before it, poking about for Hermione when, at the last second, she scrambles out and dashes under the sink. Grunting furiously, the troll turns and begins to advance on her. Harry, thinking fast, rushes forward and leaps upon the troll's rising club, raising himself right out of frame and then dropping, right under the troll's slimy neck. The troll blinks dimly and, before he can react, Harry, purely on instinct, shoves his wand straight up the troll's nose. The troll roars in pain, dropping the club and stamping out. Ron watches helplessly, then glances at the club on the floor. An idea flickering across his face, raising his wand, he speaks.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Harry swings around and sees Ron standing, wand poised. It does not inspire confidence. Ron looks at Hermione, takes a breath, and this time employs the correct pronunciation.
Wingardium Leviosa.
With that, the club quivers on the floor, begins to rise. The troll, still raging, grabs Harry's leg and peels him off his body. As he holds Harry up high, suspended by one leg, Harry's world goes upside down, spinning. When the club floats by his face, the troll pauses, watching in confusion as the club rises toward the ceiling, hanging in magical suspension until, thunk, it drops smack on the troll's head. Wobbling, the troll releases its grip on Harry's leg and drops him to the floor. Harry peers up. The troll wobbles one last time and starts to fall, directly on top of Harry. Quickly, Harry rolls away, just before the troll slams into the floor inches away. All is quiet for a moment, then Hermione steps forward.
Is it dead?
I don't think so. Just knocked out.
No need to kill it after all.
Yes, well, that was big of you, troll snot.
Harry extracts his wand, wipes it on the troll's trousers, and suddenly a volley of footsteps announces the arrival of Professor McGonagall, Snape, and still queasy Quirrell. Harry notices a spot of blood on Snape's leg and sees Snape shift his cloak to cover it up.
Explain yourselves, both of you.
Him and
Hermione.
I went looking for the troll. I've read about them and thought I could handle it, but I was wrong. If Harry and Ron hadn't come along, I'd be dead.
Ron drops his wand, stunned by Hermione's lie.
I'm very disappointed in you, Miss Granger. 5 points will be taken from Gryffindor for your serious lack of judgment. As for you, gentlemen, I hope you realize how lucky you are. Not many first years could take on a fully grown mountain troll and live to tell the tale. I award each of you 5 points for sheer dumb luck.
Is this where you wanted to pause, Curtis?
Keep going.
7th floor corridor moments later. Hermione walks silently beside Harry and Ron.
Good of her to get us out of trouble like that.
Mind you, we did save her from a full-grown mountain troll.
Mind you, she might not have needed saving if we hadn't locked the thing in with her.
Ron glances at Hermione, then away.
Okay, you're good to go.
Interior Great Hall day. Harry, Ron, and Hermione sit together. Harry ignores his breakfast. Ron, as usual, is stuffing his face.
Take a bit of toast, mate. Go on.
Ron's right, Harry. You're going to need your strength today.
I'm not hungry. I'm still not hungry.
Good luck today, Potter. Then again, now that you're proving yourself against a troll, a little game of Quidditch should be easy work for you, even if it's against my boys.
Snape smiles, limps away from toward the Slytherin table.
That was disturbing.
I'll tell you what's disturbing. Snape's smiling.
That explains the blood.
Blood?
Last night, Ron and I saw Snape heading for the 3rd floor. I'm guessing he let the troll in a diversion, tried to get past the 3-headed dog, and got himself bit. But that's why he's limping.
Well, why would anyone go near that dog?
Listen, the day I was at Gringotts, Hagrid took something out of the vault, said it was Hogwarts business, very secret.
So you're saying...
That's what the dog's guarding. That's what Snape wants.
But what's safer than Gringotts?
One place, according to Hagrid. Hogwarts.
Well, whatever it is, it must be really valuable.
Or really dangerous.
Just then, an owl beats into the room.
Bit early for mail, isn't it?
That's Hedwig.
All watch as she swoops down with a long, thin package. Harry slips Hedwig a piece of his uneaten toast, strips open the parcel, and finds inside a sleek mahogany broomstick.
It's a broomstick.
You don't say. That's not just a broomstick, Harry. That's a Nimbus 2000.
But who...
Harry glances up, sees far across the room Professor McGonagall looking his way. Quickly, she turns away. Exterior Quidditch field. The stadium is full. Ron and Hermione join Neville and Seamus in the Gryffindor section. Unfurl a banner that reads, Potter for President. As the Slytherin and Gryffindor teams take the field, the crowd roars. Oliver Wood runs up alongside a nervous Harry who clutches his new Nimbus 2000.
You know what you're thinking, Harry? I'm playing my first game of pitch. The entire school's watching me, and first of all, it's against Slytherin. Am I right?
Pretty close.
It's all right, Harry. Felt the same way from my first game.
What happened?
Don't really remember. I took a bludger to the head about 2 minutes in and woke up in the hospital about a week later.
Madam Hooch, clad in referee robes, addresses the players.
Now, I want a nice clean game from all of you.
She glances tellingly at Slytherin, Captain Marcus Flint. Harry leans over to Angelina Johnson, the Gryffindor chaser.
Who's he, Angela?
Marcus Flint, Slytherin captain. They say he's got a troll blood in him.
Harry swallows as Flint glares at him murderously.
Not your blooms. Brooms, please.
Hands trembling, Harry waits. Then the whistle blasts. 14 broomsticks rise in the air. As the crowd roars, Madam Hooch kicks the crate, releasing 2 screaming bludgers, then tosses up the quaffle. In the stands, Lee Jordan does commentary.
Quaffle's up and straight off taken by Angelina Johnson's of Gryffindor. What an excellent chaser that girl is, and rather attractive too, might I add.
Professor McGonagall casts a disapproving glance at Jordan, then turns to watch the action below. Cradling the quaffle, Angelina Johnson weaves wickedly past the Slytherin chaser, ducks under a sizzling bludger that Fred Weasley chips away, then dishes off to a speeding Alicia Spinnet. Alicia falls into a 15-foot rolling dive, feeds the quaffle back to Angelina, but has it intercepted by a slashing Marcus Flint. Flint flies fast over the hoop, rears back, but has his shot blocked by Oliver Wood. Wood bumps the quaffle to chaser Katie Bell, who rockets past Flint the length of the field, only to take the bludger to the back of the head. As the quaffle pops loose, Marcus Flint grabs it, drives with an astonishing speed back the other way, then takes a bludger himself, courtesy of George Weasley. Angelina Johnson swoops down, snatches the spinning quaffle, and, flying like lightning, races the field to score. As Gryffindor cheers fill the cold air, Hagrid makes his way up the stand, scattered students in his wake.
Budge up there. Clear the way. How's Harry holding up?
Ron and Hermione squeeze together, giving Hagrid space.
Hasn't had much to do yet.
First game. He stays out of trouble. That'll be doing all enough.
Above the pitch, Slytherin's Adrian Pusey eludes 2 bludgers, 2 Weasleys, and the chasers, zooming toward the goals, when suddenly a flash of gold zips by his left ear.
That's the snitch.
Far below, Slytherin seeker Terrence Higgs makes his move. Harry dives. Faster than Higgs, he closes the gap quickly, eyes locked on the tiny golden ball. He adds some speed, reaches out, and wham! Marcus Flint hits him full on, sending him reeling. Harry pulls up his tip, levels off, and glances about, but the snitch is gone.
Foul!
Foul! Foul!
As the bludger screams past Harry, he tries to kick his broom higher. Instead, it lurches, nearly tossing him off. Below, Hagrid peers through the binoculars and frowns.
Don't know what Harry thinks he's doing. If I didn't know better, I'd say he lost control of his broom.
Maybe something happened to it when Flint blocked him.
In the stands, people gasp as the broom rolls over and leaves Harry dangling from one end. Neville buries his face.
No, can't nothing interfere with a broomstick except powerful dark magic. No kid could do that to Nimbus 2000.
Hearing this, Hermione grabs Hagrid's binoculars.
Snape, he's jinxing the broom.
Ron takes the binoculars and looks. Snape sits muttering in the opposite stands, staring into the sky, staring at Harry.
Jinxing the broom? What do we do?
Leave it to me.
As Hermione dashes off, Ron turns the binoculars back to the sky. Harry hangs from the broom with two hands while Fred hovers nearby. George circles about 10 feet below.
What's George doing?
Just in case you fall, George will catch you.
I knew I should have gone out for football.
What's football?
Hermione fights her way through the Slytherin faithful who cackle at Harry's plight towards Snape.
Take a good look, lads. With any luck, we'll be having Potter soup for supper.
Just then, Hermione brushes past, sending Malfoy ass over tea kettle into Professor Quirrell in the row below. Reaching Snape, Hermione crouches down and whips out her wand. Across the field, Ron peers through the binoculars.
Come on, Hermione.
Just then, blue flames spit from Hermione's wands, climbing quickly to Snape's robes. Snape continues to mutter, staring skyward. Then he realizes he's on fire and looks away. In the commotion that ensues, Ron sees Hermione scoop the blue fire into a little jar, slip it into her robe, and make her escape. Instantly, Harry's broom stops jerking. He clambers back on, then swoosh, a flash of gold streaks by him, the snitch. Higgs zooms up from below, and he and Harry give chase. The snitch swerves, then dives. As it plummets, Harry and Higgs plummet too, giving it all they've got. On the pitch below, Hermione puts her hand to her mouth. In the stands, Neville buries his head again. As the snitch drops, the ground rushes crazily upward, the speed breathtaking. Harry seems intoxicated by it, slightly crazed, eyes riveted to the fluttering snake, seeing it and only it. Higgs, on the other hand, sees only the ground, and at the last minute can bear it no longer, pulling up on his broom and swerving to safety. As Harry and Earth collide, the Nimbus cartwheels away. Harry rolls off and, coming up on all fours, claps his hand to his mouth as if he were sick.
That's unfortunate. Understandable, but unfortunate.
As Harry coughs, Hagrid takes back his binoculars, which, unfortunately for Ron, are still around Ron's neck.
Unfortunate nothing. He's got the snitch.
Harry shoots his hand in the air and the crowd roars. Marcus Flint touches down, fuming.
He didn't catch it. He swallowed it.
Nothing in the Quidditch rulebook discriminates against catching the snitch in your mouth, or any other place for that matter. In fact, in a game played in Greece in the late 17th century, Hooch. Madam Hooch.
Granger.
I thought I didn't have any other lines. What page are we?
76?
76. Oh, shoot. Miss Granger, we can dispense with the more unattractive historical details of the game. Nevertheless, your point is well taken. Match to Gryffindor.
As Harry's teammates lift him to their shoulders, Hermione spies Snape in the far stands, limping quickly away, his robe still smoking. Exterior Hogwarts grounds later. Harry, Ron, and Hermione walk with Hagrid towards his home, a wooden hut on the edge of the dark forest.
Rubbish. Why would Snape put a curse on Harry's broom?
Who knows? Was he trying to get past the three-headed dog on Halloween?
How do you know about Fluffy?
Fluffy?
That thing has a name?
Of course he's got a name. He's mine. Got him off an Irish bloke I met in the pub last year. Lent him to Dumbledore to guard the...
Yes?
Don't be asking me anymore. That's top secret, that is.
But Hagrid, whatever Fluffy's guarding, Snape's trying to steal it.
Gollow swamp. Snape's a Hogwarts teacher.
Hogwarts teacher or not, I know a jinx when I see one, Hagrid. I've read all about them. You've got to keep eye contact, and Snape wasn't blinking.
Now listen to me, all three of you. You're meddling in things that shouldn't be meddled. It's dangerous. What that dog's guarding is strictly between Professor Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel.
Hagrid stops, furious with himself, then turns for his hut, where Fang, an enormous black boarhound, greets him.
Nicholas Flamel. Why does that name sound familiar?
Exterior Hogwarts Castle day. December. Snow falls, dusting the castle turrets and blanketing the grounds. Hagrid drags a giant Christmas fir towards the castle, Fang trotting by his side. Interior Great Hall. Nearly headless Nick swoops about a towering Christmas tree, running garland over the limbs while Peeves plucks ornaments from the branches, hurling them to the floor.
Listen up, listen up. As the lake is frozen, students going home for the holiday will take a flying sleigh to the departure platform. Earmuffs are strongly recommended.
Harry and Ron pay no attention to the students bustling about them, sitting alone by the window playing wizard chess. Unlike Muggle chess, these figures are alive. Presently, Harry's bishop looks cross.
Don't send me there. Can't you see his knight? Send him. We can afford to lose him.
Bishop points to a pawn. Harry sheepishly complies.
Queen to pawn 6.
Ron yawns as his queen steps forward and, with extreme prejudice, disposes of the pawn. Hermione, huge trunk in tow, arrives just in time to witness the carnage.
Oh my god! Barbaric.
That's chess. See you're packed.
I see you're not.
Change of plans. My parents decided to go to Romania to visit my brother Charlie. He's studying dragons there.
You can help Harry then. He promised to keep looking in the library for Nicholas Flamel over holiday.
We have looked 100 times.
Not in the restricted section.
I think we've had a bad influence on her.
Interior boys' tower dormitory morning. Camera pans a stack of packages at the foot of Harry's bed.
Happy Christmas, Harry.
Harry rubs his eyes, sees Ron wearing a maroon sweater over his pajamas. Ron tosses him a present.
Happy Christmas, Ron. I've got presents.
What do you expect? In your hands from Hagrid. By the look of that lumpy one, Mum sent you a Weasley sweater.
Harry opens Hagrid's, finds a wooden flute. As he blows it, Hedwig cocks her head. It sounds like an owl. Harry takes up the next parcel. It's very light. He reads the note attached.
Your father left this in his possession before he died. It is time it was returned to you.
Harry tears the paper away and finds something shiny and translucent slithers to the floor.
It's some kind of cloak.
Well, let's see then. Put it on.
As Harry takes the cloth, we hang on Ron, watching. Then...
Ah!
Harry's head is floating in midair. Ron looks on in awe.
Harry, do you know what this is? It's an invisibility cloak. They're really rare. Who gave you this?
There's no name. It just said, use it well.
Interior library night, pitch black. A match strikes, floats by itself in midair. It drifts forward, lights a lamp. In the library row of books moments later, the lamp floats eerily among the books, then rises, illuminates a sign, restricted. In the restricted room, the lamp floats into the room, the invisibility cloak drops, and bit by bit, Harry appears.
Flamel, Nicholas Flamel.
Harry runs his finger along the spines, stops, takes a large book from the shelf, runs his hand over the coarse leather, then opens it. At once, it begins to shriek. Harry slams it shut, but it goes on wailing. Stumbling back, Harry tips the lamp and all goes dark. Footsteps ring out. Frantically, Harry sifts in the darkness for the cloak, panicking. When his hands disappear, pitching the cloak over himself, he dashes to the door, just as it clangs open, revealing Filch. As Filch's pale, wide eyes stare straight ahead, Harry glides right past him. Interior library corridor. He dashes into the corridor, and the book shrieks echo behind him, coming face to face with Snape and Quirrell in the midst of a heated conversation.
Have you found out how to get past that beast of Hagrid's yet?
But Severus,
You don't want me as your enemy, Quirrell.
I don't know what you...
You know perfectly well what I mean. Your little bit of hocus pocus.
Harry walks slowly, carefully around them, trying not to be heard. Snape stops as if he's felt a small breeze, then turns, seeing soft feathers of vapor. Snape reaches out to touch them. Inside the cloak, Harry puts his hand to his mouth to stop his breath. Snape finds nothing in front of him. He turns back to Quirrell.
We'll have another little chat soon when you've had the time to think things over and decide where your loyalties lie.
The door behind them slowly opens and closes, quietly, carefully. Filch appears from around the corridor, walks up to Snape and Quirrell.
Professor, I found this in the restricted section. Still hot. Then they can't be far.
Snape, Quirrell, and Filch exit. Interior empty classroom night. Harry drops the cloak, exhales, and absently rubs his scar, wincing mildly. As his eyes adjust, he sees a magnificent mirror as high as the ceiling across the room. On the frame is an inscription, Erased, and the rest of that. He steps in front.
Ah!
Harry turns as if expecting to see someone, but finds only the dark shape of desks and chairs. Slowly, he turns back. In the mirror, Harry sees his own startled reflection and, beyond, a man and a woman.
Mom? Dad?
Interior boys' tower dormitory moments later. Close up, a sleeping Ron.
Ron, wake up!
Ron squints in confusion, then Harry lowers the cloak.
There's something you've got to see.
Interior empty classroom a few minutes later. Harry drags Ron to the mirror.
Come look, it's my family.
That's you, Harry.
Look in properly. Go on, stand here.
Harry steps aside and Ron takes his place and then freezes.
There, you see them? Don't you? That's my dad, my mom.
Me. Only I'm head boy. And I'm holding the Quidditch cup and... Bloody hell! I'm Quidditch captain too. Harry, do you think this mirror shows the future?
How can it? All my family are dead.
Interior Great Hall the next morning. The hall looks deserted as the students who remain eat breakfast. The Weasleys chatter amongst themselves, laughing. Then Ron looks away and sees Harry staring into the distance.
Want to play chess?
No.
Want to go visit Hagrid?
No.
Harry, I know what you're thinking, but don't. There's something not right about that mirror.
Interior empty classroom night. Harry sits before the mirror transfixed.
Back again, Harry?
Harry turns. Dumbledore slips off the desk and sits beside him.
I see that you, like many before you, have discovered the delights of the Mirror of Erised. I expect by now you realize what it does.
It shows me my family.
And it showed your friend Ron himself as head boy.
Harry looks surprised and Dumbledore smiles.
I don't need a cloak to become invisible. I'll give you a clue, Harry. The happiest man on earth would look into the Mirror of Erised and see only himself, exactly as he is.
So then it shows us what we want, whenever we want.
Yes and no. It shows us nothing more or less than the deepest, most desperate desire of our hearts. You, who have never known your family, see them gathered behind you. Ron Weasley, who has always been overshadowed by his family, sees himself standing alone. Remember this, though, Harry. This mirror gives us neither knowledge nor truth. Men have wasted away before it, even gone mad. That's why we move to a new home tomorrow. I ask you to not go looking for it again, Harry. It does not do well to dwell on dreams and forget to live.
Can I ask you something, Professor? What do you see when you look in the mirror?
I see myself, wearing a pair of thick woolen socks. One can never have enough socks, Harry. You'll do well to remember that as well.
Exterior school courtyard day. Bundled against the chill, Harry, burdened by heavy thoughts, enters the empty courtyard. Hedwig on his arm. As he releases her, she sails high over the castle walls, winding her way through the turrets and then out over the wintry grounds, her reflection glimmering on the surface of the icy lake below. As she turns, beating her way back, the sky lightens, turning a slow, glorious blue, and the once dark trees shimmer in the crisp spring light. Hogwarts itself shimmers as well, no longer dusted with snow. Hedwig glides over the castle wall, swoops, and comes to a fluttering rest outside one of the high windows of the Great Hall. Interior Great Hall. Hermione, book in hand, quizzes Ron, who seems more interested in the pack of chocolate frogs in his hand.
I'll ask you again. What are the 3 most crucial ingredients in a forgetfulness potion?
And I'll tell you again. I forgot.
And what, may I ask, do you plan to do should you get that question on final exams?
Crib off you.
You will not. Besides, according to Professor McGonagall, we're to be given a special quills bewitched with an anti-cheating spell.
That's insulting. It's as if they don't trust us. Dumbledore again.
As Ron tosses the wizard card onto the table, Harry watches it spin, just as a smattering of laughter erupts across the hall. Neville is hopping like a bunny, legs stuck together, while Seamus trails after.
Leg locker.
Yes. Malfoy.
Neville, breathing hard, reaches the Gryffindor table, then, before anyone can catch him, topples to the floor.
You've got to start standing up to him, Neville.
How? I can't stand up at all.
I offered to do the counter curse, but he wouldn't let me.
Of course not. That's all I need to set my bloody kneecaps on fire.
I don't appreciate the insinuation, Longbottom. Besides, if anyone cares to notice, my eyebrows have completely grown back.
Seamus turns away. The others see a curious bald spot on the back of his head. Ron takes out his wand.
All right then, Neville. Who shall it be? Me, Hermione, or...
I've found him.
Ron stops, sees Harry holding up Dumbledore's wizard card. Ron takes it.
He's bowling, so what? He's always bowling.
Harry rolls his eyes, turns the card over for Ron to read.
Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the Dark Wizard Grindelwald, for the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon's blood, and his work on alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel. Anyone?
Harry!
I think we lost Harry.
Amazing!
His connection was acting up.
Stop!
I knew the name sounded familiar. I read it on the train that day.
Hermione steps right over Neville.
Follow me.
Hey, wait! What about the counter curse?
Neville's eyes shift. Seamus smiles, raises an eyebrow. Interior library moments later. Close up, a book on alchemy. As it hits the table with a loud thud, Hermione flips through the pages as Harry and Ron look over her shoulder.
How could I be so stupid? I checked this out weeks ago for a bit of light reading.
This is light.
Of course. Here it is. Nicholas Flamel is the only known maker of the Sorcerer's Philosopher's Stone.
Harry and Ron glance at each other, then Hermione.
The what?
What?
Oh, honestly, don't you two read?
Not really.
No.
Philosopher's Stone is a legendary substance with astonishing powers. It will transform any metal into pure gold and produces the elixir of life, which will make the drinker immortal.
Immortal?
It means you'll never die.
I know what it means.
The only stone currently in existence belongs to Mr. Nicholas Flamel, the noted alchemist who last year celebrated his 665th birthday. That's what Fluffy's guarding on the 3rd floor. That's what's under the trapdoor. The Sorcerer's Philosopher's Stone.
So Flamel knows someone after the stone, gives it to Dumbledore to keep safe at Hogwarts, not realizing that one who's after it
teaches at Hogwarts.
So Snape wants piles of gold and to live forever. Who wouldn't?
Hermione closes the book, troubled by something.
What is it, Hermione?
Don't want to scare you, Harry. It's just, all Snape wants is the Sorcerer's Philosopher's Stone. Why did he try to kill you that day on the Quidditch pitch?
Harry ponders this, but doesn't have an answer. Exterior Hagrid's hut later that night. Harry, trailed by Ron and Hermione, knocks on Hagrid's door. The door rattles, opens a crack, and Hagrid peers out.
Hello. Not to be rude, but I'm not really fit to entertain.
We know about the Philosopher's Sorcerer's Stone. We still know about...
Interior Hagrid's hut. Everything here is oversized. Hagrid adds wood to an already roaring fire, putters about a large simmering kettle.
Snape, blimey, you're not still on about him, are you?
Hagrid, we know he's after the stone. We just don't know why.
Harry, Snape was one of the teachers on protecting the stone. He's not about there stealing it.
What?
You heard me. Snape was one of the teachers in on protecting the stone. Now, as I said, I'm a bit preoccupied at the moment.
Wait a minute. One of the teachers?
Of course. There are other things defending the stone, aren't there? Spells, enchantments.
That's right. Bloody waste of time, if you ask me. Tain't no one gonna get it past Fluffy. Not a soul knows how except me, and Dumbledore, of course.
Crack! A clicking sound is heard coming from the kettle, then a curious scraping. Harry looks and sees a huge black egg.
Hagrid, exactly what is that?
Oh, well, that's her,
I know what that is. But Hagrid, how did you ever get one?
Won it off a stranger in the village. Think he was glad to be rid of it, to be honest. Well, blimey.
The scraping is furious now. Quickly, Hagrid takes the egg from the kettle, sets it on the table. Fissures spread like veins over the surface. Then it explodes, shell flying like shrapnel. Harry, Ron, and Hermione cover themselves.
Is that a dragon?
That's not just a dragon. That's a Norwegian ridgeback. My brother Charlie works with these in Romania.
Isn't he beautiful? Bless him. Look, he knows his mummy. Hello, Norbert.
Norbert?
Well, he's got to have a name.
The dragon blinks at Hagrid, screws up its face, and sneezes, spewing forth a shower of sparks, which sends Fang whimpering and kindles a brief blaze in Hagrid's beard.
Needs to be trained up a bit, of course. Hey, you there.
All turn, peering through the window is a face.
Malfoy.
They leap to the door, see a fleet figure racing across the grounds, disappearing into the night. Exterior Hogwarts grounds moments later. Harry, Ron, and Hermione walk toward the glittering castle.
Hagrid always wanted a dragon. Told me so the first time I ever met him.
It's crazy. And worse, Malfoy knows.
I don't understand. Is that bad?
Mr. Potter, Mr. Weasley, and Miss Granger.
Ahead stands Professor McGonagall, a jagged silhouette in the castle light. Beside her, Draco Malfoy grins arrogantly.
It's bad.
Interior Professor McGonagall's classroom moments later. Harry, Ron, and Hermione stand before a displeased McGonagall while Malfoy looks on, practically quivering with pleasure.
As every school child knows, dragon breeding is against our laws and has been ever since the Warlocks Convention of 1709. And for good reason. It's hard to keep up muggles from noticing if we got 30-foot Ukrainian iron belly running around the back of the garden.
Norwegian ridgeback.
Professor McGonagall's eyes shift, narrow on Ron.
I just meant, in this case, sorry.
Personally, I don't care if Hagrid has a Chinese fireball sitting in this kitchen, Mr. Weasley. He answers to Dumbledore. You, on the other hand, answer to me. Nothing, I repeat, nothing gives a student the right to walk about the school at night. Therefore, as punishment for your actions, 50 points will be taken.
As the others gasp, Malfoy's eyes glimmer with cruel ecstasy.
Boy who keeps dying.
All right, go.
As the others gasp, Malfoy's eyes glimmer with cruel ecstasy.
50.
And to ensure it doesn't happen again, all 4 of you will receive detention.
Excuse me, Professor. Perhaps I heard you wrong. I thought you said the 4 of us.
Indeed. You see, Mr. Malfoy, however noble your intentions, you too were out of bed after hours. You will join your classmates in detention.
Interior Great Hall morning. As Harry, Ron, and Hermione eat breakfast, the hourglasses tell the tale. Gryffindor has slipped to last place. Just then, Fred and George pass by.
Don't worry, you three. This will all blow over. It may take a year or two, but eventually people will start talking to you again.
Well, I, for one, see nothing wrong with the reduced social life. It'll give us more time to revise for finals.
Why bother? Even with Malfoy losing points, Slytherin's a lock for the House Cup. And look, Malfoy knows it.
All 3 peer at Malfoy. He raises a goblet in their direction and cackles with Crabbe and Goyle.
He won't be smiling tonight. Haven't you heard? For detention, they're taking us into the dark forest.
Exterior Hogwarts grounds night. Beneath the pale moon, Filch, carrying a lantern, leads Harry, Ron, and Hermione and Malfoy across the dark grounds.
A pity they let the old person die. By the time detention would find you all hanging by your thumbs in the dungeons.
Exterior Hagrid's hut. Moments later, as Filch and the others reach the yard, they find Hagrid stringing a crossbow, Fang at his side.
Sorry, lot is Hagrid.
Filch squints, sees tears running down Hagrid's face.
Good God, man. You're not all about that bloody dragon, are you?
Norbert's gone. Dumbledore sent him off to Romania to live in a colony.
Well, that's good, isn't it? He'll be with his own kind. Better all around, don't you think? Especially for Fang.
Hearing his name, a singed Fang beats his bandaged tail.
What if Norbert doesn't like Romania? What if the other dragons are mean to him? He's only a baby after all.
A baby that breathes fire.
Harry elbows Ron, silencing him.
For God's sake, pull yourself together, man. You're going to the forest after all. Got to have your wits about you.
The forest? I thought it was just a joke. We can't go to the forest. Students are allowed, and there's werewolves.
Oh, there's more than werewolves in those trees, man. You could be sure of that.
Exterior dark forest later. Harry and the others trail Hagrid down a skinny path through the dark trees. Hagrid turns to Harry and speaks low.
Sorry about this, Harry. No, it's me that deserves punishing, not you. Well, right, I should be sitting in a cell in Azkaban tonight.
It's all right, Hagrid. Besides, it's not your fault. We were out after hours. If we hadn't come to knocking on your door in the middle of the night.
Abruptly, Hagrid kneels, takes something onto his fingers.
What's that?
The reason we're here. All right, now listen up. See this here? Do you see it? That's unicorn blood. I found one dead a few weeks back. 2 before that first term. This one here's been hurt bad by something. It's our job to find the poor thing. Only one way to get that done, and that's to split into 2 parties. Ron and Hermione, you'll come with me. Harry, you'll go with Malfoy.
I want Fang then.
Fine. But just so you know, he's a bloody coward.
Exterior path, dark forest. Fang trots down the path ahead of Harry while nervous Malfoy trails behind.
Wait until my father hears about this. Servant stuff. We should be writing lines or something.
If I didn't know any better, Draco, I'd say you were scared.
You're too stupid to be scared, Potter. Growing up with muggles. If you were a real wizard family, you wouldn't be laughing.
I'm not, believe me.
As Malfoy joins Harry, he stops dead. The trees ahead are stripped violently with dripping silver, and beyond, lying in a small clearing, is the broken body of a unicorn. Fang backs off, something primal in his eyes. Harry watches him, reading his fear. Then, the slithering sound returns. Seconds later, a hooded figure slithers over the leaves, drops its head over the leering wound on the unicorn's side, and begins to drink its blood. Malfoy bolts, slipping and sliding as Fang whimpers after. Harry winces, clutching his scar, then sees that the hooded figure is staring directly at him, silver dribbling down his front. Woozy from pain, Harry staggers back, then falls. The slithering sound draws closer when hooves pummel the path behind him and something leaps clear over him, flickering past the moon above. It charges the hooded figure, drives it back into the trees and away. A shadow falls across Harry's face. It is a centaur with eyes like pale sapphires. He's frenzied.
Harry Potter, you are known to many creatures here. You must leave. The forest is not safe at this time, especially for you.
Well, what was that thing you saved me from?
Only one who has nothing to lose would commit such a crime. It is a monstrous thing to slay a unicorn. The blood of a unicorn will keep you alive, even if you are an inch from death, but at a terrible price. You have slain something so pure that the moment the blood touches your lips, you will have a half-life, a cursed life.
But who would choose such a life?
Can you think of no one?
Do you mean to say the thing that killed the unicorn, that was drinking its blood, that was Voldemort?
Do you know what is hidden in the school at this very moment, Mr. Potter?
The Sorcerer's Philosopher's Stone.
Commotion is heard as Hagrid and the others come slashing through the trees. As Harry reacts, the others break into the clearing.
Harry!
Oh, it's you it is, friends. Well, I see you met Mr. Potter. Right there, Harry?
Harry nods, but he looks anything but all right. Interior Gryffindor common room later. Harry paces before the fire while Ron and Hermione watch.
You mean You know who's out there right now, in the forest.
But he's weak. He's living off the unicorns. Don't you see? We had it wrong. Snape doesn't want the stone for himself. He wants the stone for Voldemort. With the Exclair of life, Voldemort will be strong again. He'll come back.
It's elixir, but if he does come back, you don't think he tried to kill you, do you?
Thank you. I think if he had the chance, he might have tried to kill me tonight.
Ron looks vaguely sick.
And to think, I've been worrying about my potions final.
No, we're forgetting one thing. Who's the one wizard Voldemort always feared?
Ron was a...
Dumbledore. As long as Dumbledore's around, you're safe, Harry. As long as Dumbledore's around, you can't be touched.
Exterior Hogwarts Castle day. Students flock onto the sunny grounds, finished with exams.
I'd always heard Hogwarts end-of-year exams were frightful, but I found that rather enjoyable. Weren't you stunned not to be asked about Elfric the Eager?
I'm stunned my head didn't explode. All right there, Harry.
My scar keeps burning.
It's happened before.
Not like this.
Harry glances across the grounds at Hagrid, sitting in his front yard playing a flute. At his feet, Fang's eyes drop.
No.
Harry?
Harry starts across the grounds. Hermione and Ron glance at one another and rush after.
Don't you think it's a bit odd that what Hagrid wants more than anything is a dragon, and a stranger turns up who happens to have one? I mean, how many people wander around with dragon eggs in their pocket? Why didn't I see it before?
Moments later, at Hagrid's hut, Hagrid shrugs, goes on polishing the flute in his hand.
Never saw his face. Kept his hood up.
Didn't that strike you as unusual?
Seen a lot of unusual types in the village. Ain't exactly usual myself.
The stranger, though, you and he must have talked.
Yeah, that's what I did, the sort of creatures I looked after. Told him, after Fluffy, a dragon would be easy.
And did he seem interested in Fluffy?
Well, yeah. How many three-headed dogs do you meet, even if you're in the trade? So it tells him, the stranger, the trick with any beast is to know what calms him. Take Fluffy, for example. Just play him a bit of music, and he'll go straight off to sleep.
Hagrid stops, horrified by his slip.
I should not have told you that. Forget, I said it, yeah. Hey, where are you going? All right.
Interior McGonagall's classroom. Harry, Ron, and Hermione clang through the door. Professor McGonagall looks up.
We have to see Professor Dumbledore immediately.
I see. Well, I'm afraid Professor Dumbledore is not here. Only moments ago, he received an urgent owl from the Ministry of Magic and flew to London.
He's gone now, but this is important. This is about the Sorcerer's Stone.
Professor McGonagall nearly drops the books in her hand.
How do you know?
Someone's going to try and steal it.
Nonsense. I don't know you three found out about the stone, but I assure you it is well protected. Now, run along.
Exterior corridor moments later. Harry leads the others down the corridor.
That was no stranger Hagrid met in the village. It was Snape, which means he knows how to get past Fluffy.
And with Dumbledore gone...
Good afternoon.
They freeze. Up ahead, Snape stands, studying them.
Now, what would three fine Gryffindors, such as yourself, be doing inside on such a lovely day?
We would just...
You want to be careful. People will think you're up to something.
Snape eyes Harry, then turns away.
What do we do now?
Go through the trapdoor. Tonight.
Interior Gryffindor common room that night. Empty. Dark. 2 doors ease open. Hermione slips out the one, Harry and Ron the other. They creep toward the pink lady when, croak, they freeze. Look. Breathe a sigh of relief.
Trevor.
Trevor the Toad blinks up at them. Croak.
Trevor, shh, go, you shouldn't be here.
Neither should you.
They all jump. Neville rises from an armchair.
You're sneaking out again, aren't you?
Now, Neville, listen.
No, I won't let you. Look at Gryffindor in trouble again. I'll fight you. You don't want to kill me. I have to stand up to people.
To people, not us.
Neville raises his fist. Unfortunately, his teddy bear pajamas somewhat undermine the intended effect.
Neville, I'm really, really sorry about this. Petrificus totalis.
Instantly, Neville's arms and legs snap to his side. He sways, then falls flat, only his eyes moving, staring at them in horror. Harry and Ron look a little horrified too.
You're a little scary sometimes, you know that. Brilliant, but scary.
Interior third floor corridor moments later. Camera drifts down the corridor. Suddenly, up ahead, Peeves rounds the corner, mumbling to himself as he juggles a trio of apples. Suddenly he stops, eyes narrowing suspiciously.
Sorry. Oh, shit. Who's there? No, you're there, even if I can't see you. Are you a ghoulie or a ghosty? Or a wee student beastie?
Nothing. Peeves smiles slyly, reaches back and hurls one of the apples. It streaks through the air, then disappears in mid-flight. Peeves' smile fades.
Never mind.
He backpedals frantically, turns, and swoops off the way he came. Seconds later, Harry drops the cloak, tosses the apple in his hand to Ron.
That was close.
Harry steps to the chamber before them. Inside, the thrum of music can be heard. Slowly, Harry starts to ease open the door when, crunch, Hermione and Harry jump, turn. Ron stands chewing the apple.
Sorry, I get hungry when I'm nervous.
Harry pushes the door clear, finds a giant quivering nose and yellow fangs dripping with saliva. They gasp, then...
Wait a minute. He's...
snoring.
Harry pushes the door further and the light from the corridor falls on a tiny harp playing by itself. In the forbidden corridor they enter. Harry takes the flute from his pocket.
Suppose we won't be needing this now. Look, it's obvious Snape's already got past Fluffy. If you want to go back...
Don't be stupid.
We're coming.
Right then. All together now.
Straining mightily, they put their shoulders to the massive paw that lays across the trapdoor. Once done, Harry flings it open. Below lies only darkness, a faint whistling wind.
I'll go first. Don't follow until I give you a sign. If something bad happens, get yourselves out. Does it seem a bit quiet to you?
The harp. What happened to the...
Splat! Something wet and sticky hits Ron's shoulder.
Yuck. Third time this week. What's this ruddy stuff?
Slowly they look up. A monstrous, drooling shadow darkens their faces. Fluffy, awake, hungry. Each head ponders its own particular snack, then, with a mighty growl, swoops. Instantly, the trio pitches themselves into the darkness. Interior shaft, Devil's snare seconds later. Harry plummets down the glittering shaft, tumbling head over heels, down, 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 until, flump, he lands in something soft and yarn-like, followed quickly by Ron and Hermione. Harry adjusts his glasses, looks up. A tiny square of light, the trapdoor, glimmers far above.
That was cool.
We must be miles under the school.
Luckily there's plant things here, really.
Whoa.
A vine sneaks out Ron's back collar.
Whoa!
Twin creepers encircle Harry's chest.
Stop moving! Both of you! This is Devil's Snare. You have to relax.
Harry, don't you...
Hermione, it's a bit difficult to relax, given the circumstances.
I know, Harry, but you must. If you don't, it'll only kill you faster.
Kill us faster? Oh, now I can relax.
As they watch, Hermione takes a long, slow breath and is sucked beneath the surface, vanishing.
Hermione!
Panicking, Harry and Ron begin the struggle anew, but the vines only wrap more tightly around them.
What are we going to do now?
Just relax.
Hermione, but how? Where?
Do what I say.
He looks at Ron. He's almost completely entwined.
I suggest we do what she says.
Harry takes a deep breath and closes his eyes. Slowly, like witches' fingers, the vines draw him beneath the surface. Interior staircase beneath the Devil's Snare. Harry drops through the ceiling, twisting through the webby underground of Devil's Snare and onto the ground next to Hermione. From above, Ron can be heard screaming for help.
He's not relaxing, is he?
Ron's voice bellows again.
Apparently not.
Hermione furrows her brow, thinking aloud in sing-song.
Devil's Snare, dances in the dark, delights in the damp.
Interior of the Devil's Snare, Ron wrapped tight around the as a mommy by Wrapped tight as a mummy by this point, cocks his ear in disbelief.
Is she doing a poem? It's not possible she's doing a poem, is it?
Interior staircase beneath the devil's snare. Hermione ignores him, continuing in deep concentration.
It's deadly fun, but will sulk in the sun. That's it. Light. Devil's snare hates the light.
She whips out her wand, points it at the vines hanging from the ceiling, and sends forth a bright burst of gold. Above there, as the light burns through, the plant withers. An opening forms, the vines snap free of Ron, and he drops through. Ron lands heavily and looks up.
Lucky we didn't panic.
Luckily, Hermione pays attention in herbology.
Just then, they detect a sound, a rustling, a clinking. The three exchange a glance, begin to descend the staircase.
What is that?
I don't know. Sounds like wings.
Interior chamber of keys. Harry, Hermione, and Ron enter a brilliantly lit chamber where hundreds of jewel-bright birds flutter below a high arching ceiling. On the opposite side is a heavy wooden door, and floating in the center of the chamber a single broomstick. Ron and Hermione begin to cross to the door, gazing in wonder as the strangely beautiful creatures overhead.
Curious. I've never seen birds like these.
They're not birds.
Ron and Hermione turn, see Harry standing by the floating broom in the center of the room, looking up.
They're keys. And I'll bet one of them fits that door.
Hermione tests the doorknob and nods.
Locked.
Lohomora.
Hermione turns, sees Ron waving his wand at the knob. No good. It's still locked, and he shrugs.
Well, it was worth a try.
So what do we do? There must be 1,000 keys up there.
We're looking for a big old-fashioned one. Probably silver like the handle. There, that one. See? With the bright blue wings.
Ron points, fluttering within a pocket of brass keys is the larger silver one.
What's wrong with its wing?
The feather's pinched. Probably from Snape catching it before us.
Hermione nods, seeing Harry still staring at the broom.
Harry?
Too simple.
Oh, go on, Harry. If Snape could catch it on that old clean sweep, you can. It's not for nothing you're the youngest seeker in a century.
Harry nods uncertainly, still troubled, but slowly reaches out nonetheless. As his fingers touch the broomstick, the keys explode in a frenzy, hissing like wasps, forming in a great glittering cloud. Ron's smile droops.
Well, this complicates things a bit.
As Harry kicks into the air, a seething cluster of keys falls like hard rain, clattering at his arms and legs, slicing at his skin, shredding his sweater.
He'll be torn to pieces.
Horrified, Ron and Hermione watch Harry soar higher, fending off keys with his free hand until, Harry's point of view, through the mad, clattering cluster of keys, he spies the larger silver one, fluttering only feet beyond his grasp. Harry hovers, grimacing, and the hissing keys drop like darts onto his extended hand, then snatches the silver key. Instantly, Harry whips downward in a wide, dizzying circle, trying to outrun the now furious keys. They shadow his every move, drawing closer and closer, humming viciously as they begin to chip at the tailwigs of the broom. Desperately, Harry throws the broom into the reckless dive and, steering with one hand, flings the key to Ron, and Ron dashes to the door. Harry soars back up, taking the raging keys with him, then circles back and watches Ron jam the key into the lock as Hermione and Ron scurry through. Harry rockets straight after, the keys gaining once again, chipping at the tail of the broom like a buzzsaw through balsa wood. As the broom begins to waffle, Harry gives one last burst of speed and soars through the open door. Together, Hermione and Ron fling the door shut just before the keys rain down like bullets. Interior chest room, utter darkness. Hermione's voice pierces the darkness.
I don't know. I don't want this at all.
A small bouquet of blue flames blooms in Hermione's hands, illuminating little more than the trio's faces and some vague shapes looming ahead.
Where are we? A graveyard?
Harry steps forward and, suddenly, one of the shapes moves toward them. Hermione gasps. The shape stops.
This is no graveyard.
Ron takes an unlit torch from the wall, touches it to the blue flames fluttering into Hermione's palms, and kneels. As he paints the floor with light, the spark spits from the torch and ignites a trail of fire.
It's a chessboard.
Sure enough, as the chamber glows with light, a kind of battlefield is revealed, studded with faceless soldiers.
Well, what are we to do?
As Hermione takes a tentative step onto the board, a bishop's stone sword drops heavily down, barring her way.
It's obvious, isn't it? We've got to play our way across the room. Excuse me, are we meant to join you? Brilliant. Now, don't be offended, but neither of you are particularly good at chess.
Just tell us what to do.
All right, Harry, you take the Bishop's Square. Hermione, you'll be the Queenside Castle. As for me...
Ron leaps astride the only riderless horse.
I'll be a knight.
What happens now?
We play.
Across the board, a white pawn moves forward 2 squares to e4. As Ron contemplates his own move, Hermione glances apprehensively at the fierce pieces across the board.
Ron, you don't suppose it's going to be like real wizard's chess, do you?
Ron, contemplating something, doesn't answer immediately. Instead, gestures at his own pawn.
You there, d5.
As Ron's black pawn obliges, White's pawn slides swiftly forth to d5, and with a thunderous collision, the black pawn explodes, rubble raining down to the ground.
Yes, Hermione. I think this is going to be exactly like wizard chess.
The chessboard, a real battlefield now, littered on both sides with fallen pieces. Ron drained but intense, surveys the board, muttering to himself.
Think. Castle to c3.
The black castle advances. Instantly, the white queen sweeps forward and, with cruel indifference, shatters the rook. Harry, only 1 square removed, stares with horror. Unnerved, he glances up at Ron, but Ron's eyes see only the board. Harry turns, taking a look at himself, and blinks.
Wait a minute. She's made the same mistake I always make. If I go there, she has to take me, and the king is exposed.
Ron nods, but it's clear he doesn't share Harry's enthusiasm.
There's just one problem with that. It's you that has to go on, Harry. I know it. Not me, not Hermione. You.
No, Ron.
What is it?
He's going to sacrifice himself.
No, there has to be another way.
Do you want to stop Snape from getting that stone or not? You understand, right, Harry? Once I make my move, the Queen will take me. Then you're free to check the king.
Harry stares at Ron, an understanding between them, then simply nods. Ron grips the reins then, and without a word, drives his horse forward. Instantly, the White Queen pounces. As Ron hits the floor, Hermione screams. She starts to go to him when Harry holds up his hand.
No! Don't forget, we're still playing.
Hermione nods, staring at Ron. Harry steps forward. The White Queen moves to block e3, but it's futile. Harry stares at her, eyes full of hatred, then steps forward, places his trembling hand on the cold stone of her gown, and with the gentlest of shoves, topples her.
Checkmate.
As a veil of dust hovers, the White King removes his crown, lets it roll from his fingers across the stone floor, where it comes to rest at Harry's feet. Harry stares at Hermione's stricken face.
If you can go to the Orrery and send a message to Dumbledore, Ron's right. I have to go on.
Hermione turns, her eyes glittering. Without warning, she rushes forward and embraces Harry.
You're a great wizard, Harry Potter. You are, you know.
Not as good as you.
Me. Looks and cleverness. They're more important things. Friendship and bravery and... Oh, Harry, be careful.
She turns then and goes to Ron. Harry studies his 2 friends, then looks away. The remaining chessmen bow, parting the way to the next door. He steps forward. Interior last corridor moments later. Alone, Harry makes his way through the corridor that drops down like a tunnel. Up ahead, a chamber glimmers. In the last chamber, Harry descends a staircase. As the chambers below come into view, he sees a figure standing before the mirror of
You!
The figure turns. It is Professor Quirrell.
No, it can't be Snape. He...
Yes, he does seem the type, doesn't he? So useful, Snape. Swooping around like an overgrown bat. Next to him, who would suspect poor stuttering Professor Quirrell?
But that day, during the Quidditch match, Snape...
No, dear boy. I tried to kill you, and trust me, if Snape's cloak hadn't caught fire and broken my eye contact, I would have succeeded, even with Severus muttering his little counter curse.
Snape was trying to save me.
Oh, don't misunderstand. He hates you just as he hated your father when they were at Hogwarts together. But he never wanted you dead. Your father, after all, saved his life once, long ago.
Harry looks stunned. Quirrell looks amused.
Didn't know. Surprising, given how curious you are, Potter. I knew you were a danger to me right off, especially after Halloween.
You let the troll in.
Yes, I have a way with trolls. Snape, unfortunately, wasn't fooled. While everyone else was running about with the dungeons, he went straight to the 3rd floor to head me off. That 3-headed dog didn't even manage to bite Snape's leg off properly. He, of course, never trusted me again, rarely left me alone. But he doesn't understand. I am never alone. Never. Now, what does this mirror do? I see what I desire. I see myself holding the stone, but how do I get it?
Use the boy.
Harry glances about in horror as the dark voice echoes. Quirrell turns, eyes Harry.
My internet's...
Go.
Come here, Potter.
I'm shaking hands with Dumbledore. I've won the House Cup.
He lies!
Tell the truth. What do you see?
Let me speak to him.
Master, you are not strong enough.
I have strength enough for this.
Voldemort.
Harry Potter, we meet again.
Petrified, Harry stares at the face. It is hideous, constantly changing, struggling to become whole.
Yes, you see what I've become. Unicorn blood can sustain me, but it cannot give me a body of my own. But there is something that can. Something that, conveniently enough, lies in your pocket.
Harry wheels, dashing towards the staircase.
Stop him!
Coolly, Quirrell snaps his fingers and, just as Harry reaches the threshold, flames shoot from the floor, barring his way.
Don't be a fool, Harry. Why suffer a horrific death when you can join me and live?
Never.
Ah, bravery. Your parents had it too. Tell me, Harry, would you like to see your mother and father again?
Harry stops, looks up. Quirrell steps aside, Voldemort's face sliding from the glass and revealing Harry's parents.
Together, we can bring them back. All I ask is for something in return.
Slowly, almost involuntarily, Harry removes the stone from his pocket.
That's it, Harry. There is no good and evil. There is only power, and those too weak to seek it. Together, we'll do extraordinary things. Just give me the stone!
Harry studies his parents' faces, drifting to his mother's when we rack focus, and Voldemort's hideous face surfaces through hers, and she is gone.
Liar!
Voldemort's eyes narrow.
Kill him!
Instantly, Quirrell flies across the room, knocking Harry clean off his feet and the stone tumbling from his grasp. Quirrell drops, his hands closing on Harry's neck. Harry winces at the touch, face creased in pain, looking up into Quirrell's face when, for the briefest of moments, it becomes Voldemort's. Harry gasps, struggling, when, to his amazement, Quirrell's own face returns, screaming, releasing Harry and recoiling.
What is this magic?
Harry, breathing hard, follows Quirrell's gaze, stares in horror. Quirrell's fingers are slowly turning to dust.
Fool! Get the stone!
Harry rises, looks at Quirrell's withering fingers, then to his own hands, healthy and whole. As Quirrell starts to move, Harry, in the flash of a second, decides he bolts forward, reaches up with both hands, and presses them to Quirrell's face. Quirrell screams, but Harry holds tight, growing weaker as the face under his fingers begins to dissolve, until finally, just when Harry looks ready to pass out, Quirrell's face drops away. Harry staggers back. Quirrell's body steps forward, blindly lurching towards Harry, and then crumbles to dust. Harry stands still, just staring, then turns warily, picks up the stone when an apparition bearing Voldemort's devilish face swoops up behind. Harry spins, watching terror as, whoosh, in a violent rush, Voldemort returns to dust and whistles forward, passing through Harry, blasting him back through the air and onto the stone floor. As the dust disappears, all is quiet once more, and we cut to wide shot of Harry laying on the floor, the stone glimmering dully in his palm. Interior Hogwarts Hospital Wing Day. A painting of an injured soldier lying on a hospital bed. A nurse enters the frame, begins to tend to his dressings. Harry awakens in the hospital bed of his own. On the table next to him, treats are piled high, including a raft of open wizard cards, and one Dumbledore beams down.
Good afternoon, Harry.
Harry squints as if the card itself has spoken to him, then sees that the real Dumbledore is sitting on the windowsill. The great wizard slides off, gestures to the treats.
Tokens from your admirers.
Admirers?
What happened down in the dungeons between you and Professor Quirrell is a complete secret, so naturally the whole school knows. Your friend Ronald saved you the trouble of opening your chocolate frogs, although one suspects Agrippa and Ptolemy still elude him.
Ron was here. Is he all right? What about Hermione?
Fine. Both of them. Madame Pomfrey has explicitly forbidden visitors, but I think with the help of a certain cloak, they've managed to monitor your progress.
But what happened to the...
Relax, my dear boy. The stone has been destroyed. My friend Nicholas and I had a little chat, and it was best all around.
But then Flamel, he'll die, won't he?
He has enough elixir to set his affairs in order. But yes, he will die. To one as young as you, I'm sure it seems incredible, but to the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure.
But to destroy such a remarkable thing.
Yes. Yes. As much money in life as one could ever want. The two things most human beings would choose above all else. Unfortunately, humans do have a knack for choosing precisely those things that are worst for them.
How is it I got the stone, sir? 1 minute I was staring in the mirror and...
But you see, only a person who wanted to find the stone, find it, but not use it, would be able to get it. One of my more brilliant ideas. Between you and me, that's saying something.
Does that mean, with the stone gone, that Voldemort can never come back?
I'm afraid there are other ways for him to return. And when and if he does, it will take someone willing to fight a losing battle to stop him again. Someone like your parents. Someone like you.
Professor Dumbledore, Voldemort said if I gave him the stone, he could bring back my family. Could he have, sir? Really?
Some people are like mirrors, Harry. They reflect our most desperate desires. We see what they want us to see. As painful as it surely was, you made the right choice.
Harry nods. Dumbledore studies him thoughtfully.
Do you know why Professor Quirrell couldn't bear to touch you, Harry? It's because of your mother. She sacrificed herself for you. And that kind of act leaves a mark.
Harry reaches up to his scar.
No. This kind of mark cannot be seen. It lives on your very skin. It is the very thing someone like Professor Quirrell, full of hatred and greed, cannot understand. Or bear to touch.
What is it?
Love, Harry. Love.
Dumbledore looks away then and smiles at Harry's treats.
Bertie Bott's every flavor bean. I was unfortunate enough in my youth to come across a vomit-flavored one, and since then I've been afraid I've lost my liking for them. But I do think I will be safe with a nice toffee. Alas, earwax.
Interior marble staircase night. As Harry limps down the staircase, he can hear the good cheer of those feasting beyond the doors of the Great Hall. Below, Hermione and Ron stand talking. Harry stops, simply studying them, then they turn and see him. Nothing is said for a moment, all of them beyond words. Then Harry nods to Ron's bruises.
All right there, Ron?
All right. You?
All right, Hermione?
Never better.
Interior Great Hall night. The Roaring Hall is bedecked in green and silver Slytherin colors in honor of their winning the House Cup.
Do you think Dumbledore meant for it all to happen? And for you to do it? Sending you your father's cloak and all?
Well, if he did, I mean, that's terrible. You could have been killed. Come to think of it, I could have been killed.
I think Dumbledore knows pretty much everything that goes on here. The only thing I don't understand is Snape.
Professor Snape, Potter.
Harry looks up and sees Professor McGonagall there.
Yes, of course. I was only wondering, is it true? Did he hate my father?
They were not compatible personalities, if that's what you mean. And then, of course, your father did something Severus could never forgive.
What was that?
He saved his life.
Astonished, Harry glances at Snape sitting in the high table.
I suppose he felt his obligation to look after you this year.
Of course. Now that he's squared things, he can hate Harry in peace. Right, Professor?
Hogwarts teachers do not hate their students, Mr. Weasley, no matter how taxing they may be.
I think she's warming up to me.
The high table, Dumbledore rises and the hall quiets.
Another year gone. Now, as I understand it, the House Cup needs awarding, and the points stand thus. In fourth place, Gryffindor, with 312.
Percy turns and glares at Ron.
I think saving the bloody school from a Dark Lord would count for something.
In third place, Hufflepuff, with 352. In second, Ravenclaw, with 426. And in first place, with 472 points, Slytherin House.
The Slytherin table erupts. Draco Malfoy, banging his goblet, casts a smirk at Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
Yes, well done, Slytherin. However, recent events must be taken into account. I have a few last-minute points to award.
The hall goes very still. The Slytherin smile face a little. The Slytherin smile fades a bit.
First, to Miss Hermione Granger, for the cool use of intellect when others were in grave peril, 50 points.
As the Gryffindors cheer, Hermione looks overwhelmed.
Second, to Mr. Ronald Weasley, for the best played game of chess Hogwarts has seen in many years, 50 points.
My youngest brother, you know.
Third, Mr. Harry Potter, for pure nerve and outstanding courage. I award Gryffindor House 60 points.
The din is deafened as Hermione makes the calculations.
Oh my goodness, we're tied with Slytherin.
And finally, it takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but even more to stand up to our friends. I therefore award 10 points to Mr. Neville Longbottom.
As the room roars and the hourglasses shift, a stunned Neville accepts wild slaps on the back.
Assuming my calculations are correct, I believe a change of decoration is in order.
Dumbledore claps his hands, and instantly the green and silver of Slytherin become the scarlet and gold of Gryffindor. Neville, white with shock, disappears under a pile of people hugging him. Draco Malfoy looks stunned and horrified. Snape, with a horrible, forced smile, shakes Professor McGonagall's hand, then catches Harry's eye with his hatred still evident, but not enough to mar the moment. Harry considers the cheering faces that surround him, alone in the eye of a happy hurricane. For a moment, he is not part of them, just watching. Then his voice joins the others, his face saying it all. This is a long way from the cupboard under the stairs. Exterior Hogsmeade Station the next day. Hogwarts Express stands steaming, ready to depart. From the doorway, Ron calls to Harry alone on the platform. You're muted.
Come on now, Harry.
Harry glances about once more, then starts for the train.
Didn't think you'd be leaving without saying goodbye, did you?
Harry stops and smiles as Hagrid comes loping forward. Hagrid hands him a leather-covered book.
That there's for you to open on the train, which seems to be leaving, by the way.
Harry holds out his hand and Hagrid takes it, then pulls him into a rough hug.
Go on now. And Harry, if that cousin of yours, Dudley, gives you any grief, you can always threaten to give him a pair of ears to go along with that tail of his.
But Hagrid, we're not allowed to do magic away from Hogwarts. You know that.
I do, but your cousin don't.
Interior train compartment. Ron half dozes against the window while Hermione does some light reading. Harry sits opposite them, studying Hagrid's gift curiously. Then he opens it. Inside, the pages are filled with wizard photographs. Smiling and waving at Harry from every page were the faces he first saw in the mirror of Erised, the faces of his mother and father. As the train lurches forward, Hermione looks up.
Feels strange, doesn't it, to be going home?
Harry traces his finger over the smiling face of his mother, then looks up, following Hermione's gaze to the window.
I'm not going home. Not really.
Exterior train moving away same time. As Harry peers out, his face is calm, peaceful. Hogwarts castle glimmers in the reflection of it on his window, and we pull away, rising high above Hogsmeade Station, above the dark forest and Hogwarts Castle itself, as the Scarlet Express glitters far below, making its way to the Muggle world slowly, we fade to black.
Hey. Yay. Awesome. This is a lot of fun, guys, even though a lot of our internets were acting up.
Yeah.
Hey, Harry Potter.
Let's do Harry Potter.
Get Comcast.
Not Harry Potter.
What?
So, for those of you
yeah.
watching our table read, thanks for joining us, and join us for Chamber of Secrets, which will be next week.